Name Redacted podcast, America's most beloved podcast, the most downloaded Red Sox podcast in the world. Hey, if you're a Red Sox fan, you're feeling down, you're a little miserable, you're feeling hopeless, you feel like nothing's coming down the pipeline, you're right. But we're going to talk about it. We got Tony Mazz on the podcast today. Tyler Milliken's here of 98.5 The Sports Hub. And we got a lot to talk about. I'm in a good mood. I don't know about you, Tyler, Jake. I mean, you guys are probably fucking miserable. I'm in a pretty good mood. And it's because I've reached the level of acceptance. You start with anger and sadness and denial. Like I'm at acceptance. I feel fine. I'm in a good mood. I'm just happy to be alive and talk some socks with my pals. That's all. Am I wrong? I'm trying to be in the holiday
Christmas spirit.
Yeah,
Come on. It's December 20th. We're all jingly. We're looking at the trees. We're feeling the
You're
snow.
the only jiggly one here.
Jingly, like jingle bells. Let's not be rude.
Jingly.
Please don't be rude.
Listen, I thought you said jiggly.
No, I did not. I did not. But I think I would consider myself in a similar place with you where still hopeful for Yamamoto. It would be the greatest Christmas gift you could give to us. But yeah, I agree. I'm not disagreeing. We're already starting to pivot in other directions. We're thinking Corbin Burns, Jordan Montgomery. That's reality. That's where we live in. At this point, where else are we going to go?
Home.
At least we're not believing fake reports on Twitter anymore.
Well, Marino Pepin, this is not going to be the podcast for you, sir.
Who?
This is not going to be the podcast. If Marino Pepin, if you were listening right now, I would turn this off. I don't know.
Keep it on.
We got to talk about Marino Pepin. Speaking of fake reports, there's that like random ass like MLB sources Twitter. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I do.
They've hit on some stuff, and they're the ones that put out the Corbin Burns rumor.
Yeah, about the Red Sox pursuing that. I think it's tough when these pages, and every year there's one or two of them that they end up hitting on a couple things or they start to build that hype while people are desperate. Last year was that MLB executive burner account, right? And they're still tweeting and doing their thing. Yeah. They were kind of somewhat on the right path to a few different stories that
Do you remember that kid that...
the 14-year-old kid, right?
He was just making shit up. Like he guessed right like once or twice and then the magic just ran out. I forget like what happened to him.
MLB_NLAL, wasn't that like the account, right?
Yeah.
I've been around for a long time. I'm definitely younger, but that was like circa 2014 type shit.
Yeah.
And I remember that run. That kid was on a ridiculous run at that time. But every year, especially around this time, when you get to December, where the next 2 weeks or so, and it's a little different because Yamamoto might make his decision before the new year, but this time of year where you're so desperate for anything, these people will tweet something and it'll get 300 to 500 likes because people just want something to talk about.
Yeah, people are here thirsty. People are here starving for something.
Sometimes a young legend is born. Right? I know you won't acknowledge this, but Chris Cotillo.
No, I remember his
MLB Daily Dish days.
His goofy ass on MLB Network in 2013 when he was like, I break news. I'm in high school. I'm in science class and I'm texting agents. And agents are giving me Doug Fister news. He had absolutely no charisma on camera. I met him that year. That's when we met. It was 2013. I met him for the first time that year, so I feel comfortable talking shit about him as a high school kid because I knew him then.
Was he at the Mexican Times back then as well?
No, that was a gig that he got later on. He was actually with me at Sports Reel Boston, which I don't think was a thing for very long. I think it was just it was a blip in the radar. That was me, Chris Cotillo, and June Lee were there in 2013.
Oh my God, what a lineup.
Yeah.
3 future legends.
Yeah, it was literally just 20. I barely wrote that year because I was fucking over it. But that's where I wrote my favorite blog I've ever written in my life was after the Red Sox won the World Series in 2013. That's where I originally posted it. I ended up reposting it every year on the anniversary of them winning and on Barstool. But that's where we I wouldn't say that's where we started. That I didn't start there. But we were all together that one year. But anyways, I don't know where to start because I feel like where I want to start, I need to like mentally take myself back. I need to mentally take myself back to Monday because Monday was the day that I think we were going to do an emergency podcast, not because anything major happened, but because I feel like things were getting out of control. Like we needed to be the adult in the room to be like, everybody shut the fuck up. Everyone calm the fuck down. Let's have a discussion. Let's sort through everything. There's a lot of misinformation. And that's what I said. I said, there's a lot of misinformation out there and let's sort through it. And people on the Section 10 Reddit were talking about this. And I went in there and I said, listen, when we do this podcast, I need to I'll give you what I can give you, but I'm also being cautious because of last winter. Because the last thing that I need is slapdicks on Twitter saying that I reported something that didn't end up happening. Because let me reiterate, let me clarify, let me be a little bit more specific about what I'm referring to. Because every step of the way, Xander Bogaerts was coming back to the Red Sox. Like, that's not false reporting. So anyone that was like, oh, yeah, Xander Bogaerts coming back to the Red Sox, like, people will still hold that against me to this day because I tweeted, I feel good about this. All I said was, I feel good about it.
And you weren't the only one. There were multiple guys on the beat. I know we hate to say his name.
People went further. Yeah, people
saying
were like,
things
it's a fucking done deal, whatever. All I said was, I feel good about it. I have a good feeling about it. Okay. So if there was like a documentary about what happened, I'm sure that the Red Sox had Bogaerts every step of the way. They were the best offer. They were the most interested. They were the most aggressive. And then at the last second, the Padres crashed through the fucking roof and doubled their offer and made him an offer that is now considered the worst contract in baseball by far. By far. So when you're saying, yeah, I feel good about Xander, like the Padres weren't even a consideration at that point. Like, I feel good about it. I feel good about it. It's happening. Like, I didn't even say it's happening. I mean, I even, in my response video, I screenshotted the texts that I was receiving where people were straight up word for word saying, it's a done deal. It's a matter of time. I didn't even tweet that. Like, I could have said, hey guys, I'm hearing sources. I'm hearing that it's a done deal and that we're just kind of at the finish line. I didn't even tweet that. All I read, it's going to get done. Bogaerts is coming back. They're going to do it. They're going to pay Xander. And I said, I feel pretty good about this. And that's all it took for people to fucking lose their minds and come after me. So use this context to understand why in the future, I may not let you entirely behind the curtain anymore. Because if people, like, the whole thing about the offseason and rumors, I think it's fun when we as a podcast have information that other people just quite frankly don't have. So while I'm getting it, I'm a baseball fan. I love the Red Sox. I'm receiving this information and I'm like, well, this is very interesting and fun for me to know. And it's like crack. Like, these people on Red Sox Twitter are crackheads and I have all the crack. And it's like, do you trust these crackheads with crack? No, they're going to do some awful shit if you give these crackheads crack. And that's why I'm like, all right, maybe I'll just give you, I don't know, let's start off with a Mountain Dew. Let's start off with some caffeine to make you feel a little bit of buzz. Let's maybe not jump right into crack. Is that fair?
More than fair. We were just saying, right? Like, this is the time of year where people are starving. You throw in where the Red Sox are at right now, 10 times even worse.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Bunch of crackheads out there just scurrying through the trees,
begging, pleading, anything, a nugget.
Yeah. All right. So let's talk about some of the things that have come across my dashboard. And I swear to fucking God, you crackhead motherfuckers, if anyone starts citing me as reporting it, I'm just letting you know the shit that people will tell me. And I'm not even letting you know all of it. I'm selectively scanning through some of the things to let you know so that you have an idea of when I'm saying, you know, I don't feel so good about Yamamoto anymore, or hey, don't count him out. Like, I'm letting you know more or less like kind of what I'm hearing so that I'm drawing these conclusions. Similar to the Bogaerts thing, people were straight up telling me the motherfucking thing was done. And all I said was, I feel good about it. So all I am saying on Yamamoto, I was like, man, I guess, I guess, you know, we're moving on to Sasaki, you know,
that's it. We're on to the, next big fish.
Yeah.
But it's not crazy. You weren't alone when you're talking about, Lou Merloni. We're going to get there. He's the only one who's given us a real positive nugget on Yamamoto at all throughout this entire period.
And then he walked it back entirely.
And that's it. So it's like, what do we have to cling to right now?
But as someone that can peek behind the curtain, I'm telling you that this is really a matter of things change. Like, things can change. Like, the things that Lou heard, I've heard. And I was like, okay, that's interesting. And we talked about it on that episode. Did we not?
We did. And we said not to run with any of it. Like, this is just what the conversation behind the scenes is right now.
Yeah, I think I said I went from 5% to somewhere between 12 and 15%.
That was exactly the numbers. And we were saying at the time, there's nothing coming from the beat. That's not shade at them. I know there's been a little sensitivity on that front. Them saying, we're saying they're not doing their jobs or anything. It's not that. But when there's been complete silence out of that end, and you get something from, you, Lou, guys who are at the top of this community who have broke news or been in that kind of space before, you have to listen.
So
that are trustworthy, that actually have proof backing their history.
Hey, you know what, Jake? Send Tony Mazz the email right now. I want Mazz to go through this fucking process with us.
Hey, look at that.
Tony!
How we doing?
What's going on, fellas?
Tony, he's got the home mic and everything. Look at this.
Oh yeah, no, we're big time here, brother.
Yeah. All right. We're live, Tony. We're cooking right now. You came in just at a good time because we were right about to get into the scuttlebutt, the word on the street of what's going on with this Yamamoto nonsense. Have you heard anything? Can we compare notes, or are you in the dark on this one?
No, I've heard a little bit.
Okay.
I don't know how much more I've heard than most people.
Yeah.
But I don't know that. Here's what I would tell you. I don't know that the Red Sox, from what I gather, consider themselves to be a front runner. Mm-hmm. I think they too would regard themselves as a dark horse, which tells me that Yamamoto and his people have probably been fairly upfront about what his preferences are and what he's looking for. And look, I'll tell you what I think has been the biggest piece of information in the last, couple of days. And I think that is the idea that he visited in New York and didn't visit anywhere else. So,
well, in fairness, we had a fucking hurricane, Tony. I mean,
okay,
we didn't have power for 3 days over here in Boston. You think they're gonna bring him around Fenway Park where you get trees falling over the place?
So now you're making excuses? Is that what you're telling me? You're making excuses
Tony,
for
Tony?
If the news was, if he had come just here, hold on, I'm not done. If he had come just here, and not gone to New York for the same reason, what would you be saying?
I mean, let's just work through geography, right?
That's what I thought.
If he's on the West Coast, then he's got to move this way. That's New York. He's got to continue to move east. So New York is in line, and then we would have just geographically been next. And then we had a fucking Category 5 hurricane over here right after he met with the Mets and the Yankees. And do you think the Red Sox were like, yeah, come on over to Fenway where you might die? Like, I don't think that's a smart business decision, Tony.
I'll add into the context today. Cora sat down with Bradford and did Baseball Isn't Boring. And Cora wouldn't answer the question. He was like, I won't confirm or deny, which I think is a play to, we're not going to put anything out for his camp to get angry at us. But if he had, or if there was something along those lines, it felt like Cora was trying to sell everyone after that on the fact that it wasn't a big deal that the Red Sox didn't get a second meeting. And I think that's where I kind of sit there, because at the end of the day, if he came and visited here, we'd be touting it like, holy shit, it's about to happen, guys.
Yeah.
Like,
well, of course we would. No, instead I got Jared giving me his Dylan Dreyer impersonation and breaking down the weather for me.
It was a big storm. Did you have power the whole time, Tony?
You're going to need a little work done if you want to be a female meteorologist. It's just not going to cut it.
Yeah, fucking Ernie Electricity over here. He was not impacted by the storm whatsoever. Yeah, you're so important. Scott from Rentham didn't have electricity. Okay, there's plenty of places over here that got knocked out right around the Boston area. So I get it. If Yamamoto didn't come here, let me ask you this question, Tony.
Okay, go ahead, Jared.
Let's just say hypothetically. This is hypothetically. If I were to say Yamamoto definitely did not have a second meeting with the Red Sox, do you think that hurts the Red Sox publicly in any way, shape, or form?
No, I don't think it's a public thing. No, I think what it tells you, what I think it hurts is that if we're being honest about it, he's more serious about a couple of other teams than he is the Red Sox. And so, look, I think if you're asking me how these things go historically, is that there are a lot of teams that want him. They're all anybody that could be deemed a viable option for the player. They meet with them, and then they reach a stage where they start whittling down the field, and they get to a couple of teams that they deem to be front runners, and everybody else is either told, we're going another direction, or you're not a finalist, and then they move on. Now, I don't know. Look, I hope I'm wrong, Jared. Believe me when I tell you that. Like, the last thing I want is for them to suck again, and they've sucked for 3 of the last 4 years, let alone 6 of the last 12. So, but it doesn't feel to me like they're in the driver's seat on this thing, and that's a bad spot to be.
They're not. They didn't feel like they were, and it's obviously apples and oranges here. They didn't feel like they were in the driver's seat for Yoshida either, but that was a completely different market, completely different bidding experience. But they kind of it was like, by the way, we have Yoshida, and it was like, oh, okay, cool, fuck, that's great. It'll play out differently here, but I'm not as, I guess, alarmed that they're not considered the front runner for Yamamoto. That doesn't necessarily make me feel one way or the other about it. So we were about to start the information timeline that was coming our way just on Monday. Okay. Because I heard from 3 or 4 different people who would know something like this. Like people 3 or 4 different people that I trust, I talked to on Monday alone. And their opinions and information was all over the fucking place. like I had
good. That's a good sign.
I guess.
That means nobody knows. But anyway, keep going.
And this is more than trust. This is good stuff.
Yeah. So I will tell you this, Tony.
There's stop for a second. Does this mean Milliken knows your sources?
Yeah, Milliken knows it. Yeah, because he knows that I'll kill him. This is like this podcast is like the mob. He's in the family, and if he ever went against the family, you know what happens, Tony. You're in a time.
Oh yeah, no. You wake up with the head of a horse in your bed is what happens.
You'd be swimming with the fishes. So we have this little thing called the scoop shop. I don't know that I don't know that Tony would be in the scoop shop. I feel like that's Tony's like someone that if he just got a little bit of a nibble of a scoop, next thing you know, he's on a 4-hour radio show. You think you can keep his yapper shut? No chance.
0.
Yeah. I don't know if I trust you with the reins on that one, but someone said that like the odds of him coming to Boston dropped to 1%.
Oh,
and that's when I tweeted out, all right, so when do we start the Roki Sasaki campaign? And 1%, I mean, it obviously still leaves, it's not like, hey, they're out. No one said, hey, they're removing themselves from the sweepstakes. None of that. But it's basically saying, hey, the top 3, the Dodgers, the Mets, the Yankees, it seems like that's what he's sifting through. Especially, I think it was last Thursday when the report came out that the Red Sox and the Giants were going to be the most aggressive. And I went on a whole rant about how that's an awful sign, because that's his agent being like, oh, we want to get juicier offers from their rivals, the Yankees and the Dodgers. So let's just say the Red Sox and the Giants are going to be the most aggressive and have the meatiest offers on the table. So that's like kind of where it started first. And then I get this text message from the clouds from a person that I really trust. Okay. I mean, really trust. And this text message, I'll read it verbatim. So the sense I get is the Sox are going to be aggressive here. ... But if they don't get him, I'm not sure they're going to spend much at all this winter. So it's kind of like, it kind of starts off as like, it's like a sexy lady, like unbuttoning her dress. And then she opens it up and she just has hair in her nipples. Like that's kind of what happened with that text message.
I thought you were going to say she opens it up and she's wearing a scuba suit underneath.
Yeah, no. We're going full hair on the nipples, Tony. I get the sense that the Sox are going to be aggressive here. Ooh, okay. I like that. We're not just throwing around like fake offers, just saying that we tried. Okay, they're going to be aggressive. But if they don't get him, I'm not sure they're going to spend much at all this winter. Like, we already were not the front runners for Yamamoto. We obviously weren't feeling super great about Yamamoto. So then, all right, if they don't end up signing him, then where is your confidence level that they're just going to take those dollars and allocate those elsewhere to 2-3 other starting pitchers, as Cora said on Bradford's podcast today? Like, oh, we need two. I think Bradford said we need 2 starters. And he said, how about 3? You know, I feel like the pivot plan is kind of what scares me now. Not so much losing Yamamoto, because in my heart, I never felt like he was coming here. I was more just like, okay, what's plan B? And plan B sounds like running it back with the fucking team that just finished in last season.
So this is the part that has scared me all along. Like, and you know, and because look at if you look at Yamamoto's profile, and I'm not telling you guys anything you don't know. Just before I go on, does Jake ever talk, or does he just like stare at us?
Jake will talk when he's kind of like a Roman Reigns. Like, I know that you don't get that wrestling reference, but the Shield in the WWE, it was 3 guys. It was Seth Rollins, it was Dean Ambrose, and it was Roman Reigns. And Seth and Dean, they did all the talking, and then Roman would just come in at the end and he would say like 3 words, and it wouldn't matter what he said. It would just sound badass. That's Jake. Jake is our Roman Reigns.
So I feel like Jake's like the muscle.
Yeah.
Like if I say something, he can turn me off.
Yep.
He can have someone come over to my house, like beat the shit out of me or
Correct.
something.
You should hear the things he said about me, Maz. They're very mean.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I just before we get into details here, I just want to know what's coming if I step over the line or out of bounds or something.
Yeah.
So what was the original question again? Now I've lost track. This has been my concern all along.
Yes.
And you guys already know this, and this is obvious. But far be it from me to pass up a chance to say something that's obvious. If you weren't going to bid on this guy, you would never bid on any free agent ever. Okay. Every indication was that this guy is a legit stud. He's got, he's not 99 miles an hour, but he throws hard. He's got great secondary stuff. He commands 4 pitches, potentially, maybe even more, depending on how you want to carve that up. He can turn it, both ways. He can elevate it. He can sink it. He can cut it. He can fade it. He's got velocity. He's got a good delivery. He's 25. Like, as far as the profile goes for a free agent, you will never find a more perfect candidate than this guy, save for the fact that he has never pitched in the big leagues.
And he's under 6 feet tall.
Okay, right. So there's a size issue too. Absolutely. But everything points to, if you're not going to break the bank for this guy, who are you going to break the bank for? Really is what it comes down to. Once you leave him, to me, he has been clearly the best candidate in the field from the very beginning. So all of a sudden, Blake Snell, 30 years old, and don't get me wrong, Blake Snell's a good pitcher. But Blake Snell's exactly the kind of guy they've been trying to avoid. They don't want to sign a 30-year-old pitcher to an 8-year contract and pay him $240 million.
Who also has the QO attached.
Right. So there's that too. Absolutely, Tyler. I like how Tyler uses the inside lingo. It drives me freaking bananas.
Tony,
thank you, Jared.
You're an inside lingo guy. Come on, don't try and come at my man T-Dog like that. You're an inside lingo guy.
Me. Got nothing to do with me.
You know what?
It's the person listening.
Tony, you're brainwashed because you can't use the inside lingo with Felger. This is a safe space to use baseball inside lingo. Like, let it fly.
Baseball land, baby.
Let that freak flag fly, Tony.
Okay, look, I'm happy to be a freak. I'm telling you that many people will be. In fact, I might already be one.
Yeah.
But many people would be listening and say, "Wow, what's a QO?"
No, they know.
I don't know what a QO is.
We have a smart baseball audience.
Okay, so, but yes, that's a factor too. So let's just say Jordan Montgomery then, like whoever it is, and I like Montgomery. I think there's a real possibility that they will, instead of going to get 1 ace, get 2 number 2 starters, or 2.5 or 3, call them whatever you want. But the point is, and that's not a bad model. Look what it did for Texas last year. Basically, if you have a killer bullpen and a couple of guys that can go 6 innings and give up 3 or 4 runs and your lineup's good and you play good defense, which is what Texas was, you can get in and maybe win it. I don't dispute that. So, but I just don't know if the Red Sox have the stomach to do that. And so I could totally see them putting the money in their pockets and trying to sell $30 subscriptions to the NESN app.
But see, in that non-aggressive...
Which, as we all know, Tyler, has shitty programming because look at the guy sitting next to you is the guy that they put on.
Not anymore.
Shame on them. Shame on them.
Not anymore.
But maybe they're smartening up.
But that's where it goes down to, and you start to say, well, are the Red Sox going to put their money in the pocket? Because if you're the Red Sox and you were truly full throttle, I think we've all known, even at the beginning of the Yamamoto sweepstakes, all right, if it doesn't go there and you are full throttle, you have alternatives. And while Jordan Montgomery is, more of that number 2, and I think maybe that's pushing it a little bit, probably in a World Series caliber rotation, he's a number 3. But if you want to front him as that number 2, well, okay, be open to going to get a rental or do something like that. Corbin Burnes is sitting right there. And at the end of the day, if you are serious about competing, you're willing to dish out that money and you say, hey, Yamamoto isn't going to take our 350, whatever it may be. Well, why can't you give 250 to Corbin Burnes, whether he'll accept it before the season if you dealt for him or after? That's where those things start to come in. But the Red Sox say, no, I'm good on the Q or I'm good on a rental. I don't want to dish out for that. I'm scared of the prospect capital. You're scared of paying Blake Snell, who, say what you will, there's concerns. The guy's won 2 Cy Youngs, right? So that's another guy. That's an option there. You just slowly start to realize, well, they're at 190 million. They have $47 million to still spend before they even get to the first luxury tax, where the Dodgers and Yankees no longer give a fuck about the luxury tax. They don't even think about it. It doesn't exist to them anymore. Well, damn, you really are setting up for another bridge year when the reality was 2022 was supposed to be that leap. You fucked up. You stayed over. You went back under in 2023. Well, okay, you took that one step back. You're going to continue to stay another step back. The truth is, dating back to the beginning of the Chaim Bloom era, it was supposed to take off starting in 2022. You were supposed to be like the Dodgers at that point, and they haven't been. So that's where that fear starts to creep in that maybe the Red Sox really aren't a big market team anymore. Maybe they will not exist in that space. That's the scariest thing you can imagine as a Red Sox fan, because that means you're no longer special.
Agreed. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And look, again, the part that I think everybody understands, or I would hope, I sometimes think they miss. What do you think? I want him to suck? I don't want him to suck. None of us want him to suck. It's way better. And I've told this story a million times. There was a year in there where they were playing badly. The season was ending badly. And Francona was coming out of the dugout for batting practice. And he said something like, do you guys kind of like it when we suck, when this happens? And I said, no, it's the opposite. I said, you guys think we do because of all the gossip that comes around it in the short term. But the reality is that that's all going to last like a week. And then it's over. And then all we wait to do, because when the team sucks, there's one story. And that is, how do you fix it? How do you fix it? How long is it going to take? Who's going to be in charge? They're all sort of connected to the same thing. How do you fix it? When you're good, everything matters because the stakes are higher. So now there's a championship at stake. Can you turn a double play? Can you manufacture a run? How's your defense in right field? Is it as good as it is in left field? All these little stupid things become important because a championship's at stake. And I say stupid things. That's the beauty of it, is everything matters when you win. Everything. That's how you win, by being good at everything. So they clearly need front end pitching, and which is, I'm still reluctant to say ace, because I'm not sure they're going to get an ace. And I would love to see Yamamoto in a Red Sox uniform. My fear from the very beginning was that everybody's going to want him. The Dodgers, the Yankees, the Mets, the Giants, the Phillies, take every big market team that's out there, and they're all going to throw the same money at him. And he's going to look at it and say, why would I play for you when all these teams have been in the playoffs within the last couple of years and they give me a better chance of winning? Let alone the fact that, let's be honest, the Mets could blow everybody out of the water with the money again if they wanted to. So that's the part that's had this has taken me back. And I'm sorry to keep going, Jared. This has taken me back to those years where every time there was a good candidate in the free agent market, I'm talking now pre-Henry, pre-Werner, there was a good candidate, and what did we all say? He'll use the Red Sox and sign with the Yankees.
Yeah.
Right? And that's what this feels like to me.
Yeah. I mean, I think the biggest point of all is the Red Sox had this full throttle thing that they came in this offseason with. And it was just the wrong winter to say, hey, we're going full throttle, because when you look around, you're like, man, there are a lot of teams that need to spend big money too. And there's only so many players, and the Dodgers, the Phillies, the Yankees, the Mets, the Giants, all these teams with big money all had intentions of spending a ton of money this offseason in particular. So when you say full throttle, you have to know that if this is a game of musical chairs, there is a large percent chance that you're not going to come out with the best talent in this offseason. It's just not going to happen that way, because, like Tony just said, you're not the sexy destination anymore. You're not coming off 3 straight division titles. You're not coming off the 2018 World Series title. You're coming off three last place seasons in the last 4 years. Like,
correct.
It's I mean, some players are built different, right? Like the Phillies weren't in the best position when Bryce Harper signed there. He was like, all right, these fans are really passionate. They're offering me a lot of money, but I see the vision. Like, there's young players here, and I want to be a part of something. So give me 13 years, and I don't want any opt-outs. And yeah, I'm not going to take a pay cut. Like, I'm still going to have $300 million, but I want to be a part of something special here in this market. There are certain players that are built different, and they may say, all right, like Daisuke Matsuzaka, Koji Uehara, Hideki Okajima, like I want to be the next in line of this Japanese heritage in Red Sox history. Daisuke, Hideki, Koji, they all won World Series titles in Boston. I want to win a World Series title in Boston, because I know what that means to a Japanese baseball player. I'm not saying that that's how he's wired, but there is always that possibility, which is why, if someone comes to me and says it's 1%, I just think that if we're going to combine all these factors, and the other tidbit that I didn't add on top of like something that I heard on Monday was, and I don't know how much this stuff matters, but I did hear that Yamamoto was very engaged in the meeting that he had with the Red Sox. Like, whatever that means, I don't know. It wasn't like he just put his feet up on the table and said, all right, court me. Like, tell me what I want to hear. How much money are we talking? It wasn't like that. I think the Red Sox really probably did try to hammer home the fact that, hey, look at all these Japanese players that came here and succeeded here and won championships here. You could be the next in line. I hope to God they showed him footage of Pedro on start days in Boston, because if we're to believe that he wants to be the star wherever he goes and he wants to be the face of a franchise, look no further than Boston. When Pedro Martinez was here, the city stood still to watch Pedro. You want that? Here you go. You go to the Dodgers, you're not even the most recognizable Japanese player on your team. You go to the Yankees, they've got Soto, they've got Judge, they've got Cole. Like, you're not the guy there. Like, then it starts to get down to, okay, like, how much do you really care about these little attributes that you're looking for from every single team? If those things really matter, and we're talking about dollars and cents here, and the Red Sox are going to be quote unquote aggressive, then that's why I still leave the door open a little bit. Like, I don't buy into the 1% thing. Like, it's not very high. It's not much higher, but like, even if it's 10%, you kind of like sitting there being like, I like a 1 in 10 shot. Like, if we're going to do a lottery here, I like my chances with my ball coming out one out of 10. So we'll see, but that's kind of where I'm at on it.
And where the Pedro Martinez stuff, where it sticks out, it's like, I'm 25, right? Like, Yamamoto's 25. I never watched Pedro Martinez in a Red Sox uniform. It's cool to go back and see, right? It's cool to watch. But at the end of the day, it's what's going to happen over, let's call it the next 10 years of his deal. What's going to happen when I show up in the U.S. and it's time for me to pitch for your team this upcoming year? Well, yeah, if I want to be the star, right? We hear he wants to pitch on the biggest stage. That was a John Morosi report a couple days ago. All right, well, that's the Yankees, right? That's why they're getting a second visit. The Mets, all right, in a place where you can say maybe they don't have their team kind of let down last year. Looks like they're in a bit of a bridge period in terms of just competing at the highest level. Well, all right, Steve Cohen flew all the way to Japan to go and see that guy, to do whatever, whether the meeting went great or not, he made that effort. We saw with John Henry what that effort meant with Rafael Devers this past offseason. Did we hear about John Henry going to Japan? No, we didn't.
No,
and then you go to the Dodgers. Huh? Yeah, exactly. With Tom Warner. Yeah. Shout out Linda's IG. We all saw it. Mm-hmm. And then you talk about the Dodgers. You got Ohtani, Mookie Betts. We hear he's a pretty big fan of Mookie Betts, right? That was in one of the recent articles in The Athletic, so that meant a lot. It's what do you have to offer modern day? And no matter what in those meetings, you have to go and tell them, yeah, we just fired our, CBO a couple months ago. That's what it was. The last 2 years have been extremely disappointing. The fan base isn't super into us right now. Yoshida's here. That's cool. Jen McCaffrey's article today, there's 3 trainers on the Red Sox staff that are Japanese and have connections. When that's
that one.
When that's what you're pushing, how do you feel good about those things? Like, come on, that can't be one of your big selling points. Maybe it means a little something, but man, that's not going to overpower a chance to compete and be actually full throttle with the Yankees or the Dodgers or the Mets right now. The only thing you hope for is, he wants to go to a team where there's really not a face. As much as we love Rafael Devers, he's not a vocal face. That's your biggest thing. Yeah, Devers isn't that guy. He's never, he said himself, like he still views himself as a kid in a lot of ways. He's used to being the little brother.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they don't have much in their favor. Like, so the only things I can cling to if I'm a Red Sox fan is, look, maybe he really wants to play with Yoshida. Maybe that matters to him. I don't know. I doubt it. I mean, I think that, and I'm, by the way, I'm saying all the money being equal. Okay. If they're going to get pretty close at the end of the day, it's not going to be about the money. So I don't know. There was stuff like, did the Red Sox sign Yoshida a year ago with the idea that they were going to have him help them lure Yamamoto? I don't know. I doubt it. But, if they had that kind of foresight and they wanted to come here as a tandem, maybe. Like, I'll allow for that. Who the hell knows? The other thing is, and Jared, this is what you were talking about. The kind of guy you're talking about is Schilling.
Yeah.
Curt Schilling said, When it was time to get traded, Schilling initially wanted to go to the Yankees. Then the Red Sox met with him, and it was Theo and I think it was Jed Hoyer who went with him, Theo and Jed.
Yeah.
And they presented Schilling with the whole plan. And, here's why we think you'll be good in our ballpark, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then Schilling said, you know what? Fuck that. I don't want to play for the Yankees. I want to beat the Yankees. Mm-hmm. So that's why I'm going to go to the Red Sox. And that to me was one of if you were ever to vote for Schilling as a Hall of Famer, and I was a no long time ago, I've never voted for Schilling for the Hall of Fame. I thought he was just short, but that's an aside. But to me, it was that mentality that made him that candidate, is that he would look at it and say, no, I can be like everybody else, sign and go to New York and win my World Series, because that's what all those guys did. They went to the Yankees and they won their World Series. I'd rather be the guy that brings the World Series to Boston and beats the Yankees. So if he's wired that way, they have that in their favor. But it doesn't feel that way to me. And again, those visits to New York, or that visit to New York for the two teams, that's a bad sign. That's a bad sign. I mean, you meet with the places, you start putting in more effort to the places you want to go. I hope I'm wrong. I hope there's more going on behind the scenes than we know about, but it feels to me like it's a long shot.
And then his idol played for the Yankees, Masahiro Tanaka. So, that all plays. If you're talking about following in the footsteps of the guy that's your idol, that you kind of built yourself off of,
Coaching is better.
Still, you could kind of go and say, damn, I could follow in his footsteps, but I could go get the ring. I could get the job done that he wasn't able to. And look at how that fan base loved Tanaka. Like, there's a lot of things in that camp right now. It's just, I don't, and nobody can feel good about the Red Sox in this stance. You can have hope. You can say it's a non-zero chance, but nobody can feel good.
Yeah. Who gives a fuck about it?
You're in delusion if you're trying that game.
Yeah. Well, no. And so look, this is the other part of the story, right? And again, there's so many ways to spin off with these things whenever they happen. But if you're going to dick around for 3-4 years and you're going to be afraid to invest in great players and you want to build it from the ground up, but the pitching in your system is not ready, then when you keep finishing last, players aren't going to take you seriously. They're going to look at you and say, why would I come there when the Mets built a good team and some crazy stuff happened and they got rid of some of the pieces, but they're going to build a winner. They're going to invest. They're serious. And to me, that's really that you can quibble with the Mets approach or the Yankees approach or whoever. But the point is, when they're laying out the money, there's a certain seriousness that comes along with that in the eyes of players. Players will look at it and go, no, they're serious. These guys are serious about winning. They're not just looking to turn a profit. And I want to go there and play because I think they're serious about winning. And I don't think people take the Red Sox seriously anymore. I think that's a big problem. This is why 10 people turned them down when they were hiring a chief executive. Because they looked at the Red Sox and said, all they've done is dink around for 3 years. They've hired how many different executives now in the last decade? Why do I want to go there? Tell me why I want to go there when I could be the next guy out the door when they tear it down and go through the next cycle. Like, I don't know how you get rid of that without, if you're going to spend and commit and build a winner, it's not a cyclical thing. The mentality has to be there all the time. And you might hit some and you will, and you might miss some and you will, but the mentality is nonstop. And I think Lucchino brought that when he was here. I think he was the pushback. And without Lucchino now, I think they're lost without it. And they gotta fix that, or no one's going to take them seriously anymore.
I've been pushing that narrative for about a year and a half now. That not
well,
necessarily.
I'm going to steal it and use it on the radio.
Do it. We need an angry Italian, Tony. That's what we need. I'm not saying we need Larry Lucchino because I don't think that Larry Lucchino is Larry Lucchino anymore. Sadly. But we need someone like that. We need a figurehead that is comparable to what Larry was when the Red Sox were on top. And that was a take no shit, not get bullied and pushed around the ring type attitude. And that directly or indirectly led to multiple World Series titles. I mean, like there were, multiple points over the course of Larry's tenure as the president and CEO of the Boston Red Sox, where if it weren't for his influence, certain things would not have gotten done. And those certain things that did get done did lead to major changes around here that led to World Series titles. So, I mean, I wouldn't want to work for him. Like it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, like hard-nosed guy like that, like tough love. Some people don't always respond to that. Like it's a little bit more, everyone gets a trophy in that world, but man, they are really missing that fuck you, we're not going to take this anymore attitude. And the way that I look at it, like right now, as it stands, and I know that you guys played the Craig Breslow sound on Felger and Mazz, and it was driving Felger up the wall, just like the non-human language that was used during the press conference and just non-baseball player speak, which like he is a baseball player. He won a World Series title, but then it just bam, right back to Yale, these analytical like nerds. And it's just not, it's not the voice that the Red Sox need. I mean, it's not like an indictment on Breslow. Like he hasn't done anything yet. He's handed out a 1-year, $1 million contract, and that's it. I just miss the Larry Lucchino days where you had that influence because Theo was a nerd. Like, I don't mean nerd is a bad thing. Theo was a nerd, but I think Theo had that drive. Like I'm sure you've read, what book was that in? Was it Francona's book or was it Feeding the Monster? I can't remember.
Probably Feeding the Monster. Go ahead.
Yeah. Where when the Red Sox lost out on Jose Contreras to the Yankees, Theo took a chair and fired it off a fucking wall and smashed it. Like Heim's not doing that. Breslow's not doing that. Like I told when we were searching for Heim's successor, I said, I don't mind having a nerd in that spot, but I need a nerd with rabies. Like that's what I need. I need a crazy nerd. And I don't know if Breslow is that. I mean, it's still early, but I mean, I've yet to see the rabies, Tony.
I like it. A rabid nerd.
Yes.
It's good. We want rabid nerds.
That's what we want.
Yeah. And look, I was going to correct you earlier because, I think I can get away with this, Milliken. The phrase angry Italian is redundant. It sort of comes with the territory.
Right.
So, but yeah, they need someone who because the winning is not a part-time state of mind. Like, you don't sit there and go, well, you know what? Our ticket sales are down. We need to win this year. Let's go out and spend. Then you have one good year, and then it starts to go south, and the fan base picks up on it again. They say, here we go. Here's the next downturn. So now we turn it off. No. There's got to be an assembly line. It's got to be about winning all the time. And so I understand the concept of feeding the monster is a little psychotic, but that's the deal. And it doesn't mean, by the way, that you can't have quote unquote bridge years. You can. You just don't tell the world that they're bridge years. And you still go out and your actions say, okay, well, they have to wait a year for their system to catch up. So, they're going to take a different approach. 2006 was one of those years. They've had other ones. That's the one that always stuck out to me, is because that
was the year that Theo told us it was a bridge year.
Yeah. So it really is about every 5 years, right? About every fifth year, you got to but the bridge years back then were 86 wins.
Yeah.
Right? They weren't last place, and they were in it until the All-Star break. And, and then in the second half, they kind of broke down, didn't have the depth to be able to stay in the race. They just didn't have it just wasn't, you knew going in it was unlikely, but you knew that with another good offseason, they were right back in it.
Mm-hmm.
Now it feels like the road back to championship status is long and arduous.
How much of that do you think? Sorry to interrupt, Tony, but it gave me a thought. How much of that, when you're looking at 2006 as a bridge year, 2010 as a bridge year, even 2012, these are all years that after 2006 they won the World Series the next year. 2012 they won the World Series the next year. 2010, I mean, the next year was when they got Gonzalez and Crawford, and they loaded up and were supposed to be the best Red Sox team ever. How much do you think that has changed because now every team has a fuck ton of money? Like the Red Sox and Yankees, and sometimes back then the Dodgers, they used to be able to just bully everyone else with their wallets. Now it's not the same. Like now players are saying, all right, like everyone is kind of throwing out stupid money now, except for like even the Royals have spent over $100 million this winter.
Right.
So once you get into that territory where every team is kind of ponying up and they're not afraid to spend, and you look at some of these other contracts, like I mean, it's weird to mention him now, but like Wander Franco, like he got almost $200 million from the Rays. When some of these teams want to spend, they can. So that kind of takes away your number one superpower. Right. No, there's no question. They still, though, lots of teams have money. They still should be on the higher end. I think, the point being is they might not be number one anymore, but they're not number 15. They should be in the top 5 all the time. I've always felt that way. The Red Sox have the resources to be in the top 5, and they should be. You're not going to win every negotiation every year because you can't. You can't go out and spend over and over and over every year and then have a payroll of $900 million. Like that's not going to happen. But you can win the ones you need to win when you need to win them. And if you are a good organization and when you're well run, so you can have a Rafael Devers and a Yamamoto, a positional prospect and an ace, and you can, pay them both a significant amount of money, which a lot of teams can't do. So I still think they have that edge, Jared. I don't think it's an issue of money and everyone else having money. I think it's an issue of not caring as much about the winning as they used to. And they say, you know what? We're never going to be able to replicate the storyline of 2004. So Nesson's never going to be quite as profitable as it was. We're not going to have the ratings we used to. We're always going to have attendance in the ballpark because of the ballpark and the lure for out-of-town fans from Atlanta and Toronto and Los Angeles and Chicago. This is part of the reason why, the owners now all love this interleague play, that everybody goes somewhere every couple of years. That, okay, I'm not going to make that trip, I'll make the next one. And there are constantly people coming in from other markets into your ballpark. So, and that's especially true in a place like Boston where you have Fenway Park. So I think they've just gotten comfortable.
They're okay with being what they are. And then when their draft picks hit and they get good, they'll spend on a given year and they'll win a title here and there, but they're not nuts about the winning and throwing the chair against the wall, like you just said. But they used to be. Tyler. Yeah,
what's so insulting about that is you only have to go back to 2021 when you saw the fan response and how crazy. And Mazz, I think you'll agree with this. When we were yelling at each other on air and we were doing all that shit that season, no one gave a damn about that Red Sox team until the playoffs actually started. But when the playoffs started and you had that win over the Yankees, and that was probably a big part of it, and then the Rays, you saw Boston turn into a baseball town again. You saw everybody out during the post-game show screaming, go nuts. We were doing, 3 hours of baseball on Zolak and Bertrand. That's a dream these days, right? Like the Red Sox are not that relevant. Yeah, they're not,
relevant.
Relevant. Thank you, relevant. They're not even looked at in that space whatsoever.
Tries hard though.
But if you're looking in that light and you're trying to be serious about winning and say, hey, we may not be the Dodgers or the Yankees, which there's no excuse for you not to be. You should be right in that conversation. Then you need to think outside the box. There's other ways to get players here. Because if Andrew Heaney's telling you, I'm good. If Zach Eflin's telling you, I'm good, these mid-tier players, well, then you need to put your nuts on the table and say, hey, we'll give up the prospect capital because we believe we can win someone over. We believe we can get a guy who has 1 year left on a deal and say, we can't win anyone in free agency, but if you come here, we'll show you. We'll prove it to you. We'll prove it in terms of dollars that we're not spending, whatever it may be. That's when it comes down to how much do you really care about winning? How much do you really care about putting yourself out there? And that's the biggest thing for me. Like, if you want to find a way to be successful, if you're that desperate after the years you've had, do you really want to risk another year of your credibility being hurt when next year is a big free agent class? Well, guess what? If you're in last place again and you look like you did the last couple of years, why would any of those guys want to come here unless you're going to spend such a ridiculous amount of money that you have a Xander Bogaerts contract on your situation?
Right. Then you got to really overpay. Right?
So
that's what it comes down to.
Go for premier talent. Go for Burns. Like, it's $250 million. Great. If you're going to give $350 to Yamamoto and say, screw it, why won't you take that risk? Trust yourself. Believe that you can win this year and prove that point. If you can't, you have no faith in your organization. You have no faith in Craig Breslow that tells you everything about your operation.
So, look, you can go on forever on this topic. Let me just throw this out there too. Like, their best chance, in my mind, okay, their best chance at getting a good pitcher was always, was trade, because they have prospects to deal. Okay. So, other teams might not have the depth that they now have, at least with regard to positional players. So that's an advantage that they'd have over other clubs. And let's face it, Beckett was a trade. Pedro was a trade. Schilling was a trade. Right now, in some cases, the player had some input there. Schilling certainly did, but you get the idea. So, then you can almost leverage the player and say, see what happens when you come here and we start winning. Then the guy wants to re-sign, which is what happened with Beckett. Pedro, they signed that offseason within a couple of months, if I remember right, because they gave him a historically high contract. The thing that concerns me, and I wonder, and I'd be eager you guys know the system better than I do. But if you look at, let's go to the Pedro trade, because that's the most obvious one. But in the Pedro trade, they gave up Pavano and Tony Armas Jr. Mm-hmm. So if the Marlins were giving up an established big league pitcher, what did they want back?
An MVP candidate?
Or what did I say? I meant the Expos.
Oh,
right?
Okay. Well, you said the Marlins.
I meant the Expos. I know. I screwed up.
Yeah.
I meant the Expos.
But it's Hanley and the Marlins, right? Isn't that the same concept with Josh Beckett?
Right. They got a stud prospect. They also got a pitcher back, Anibal Sanchez.
Yeah. Who
right.
had a very long big league career.
Yeah, and was pretty good. I mean, he got hurt and had some problems. And
I think he won the ERA title the year that he faced the Red Sox in the playoffs.
And he was awesome in the playoffs. Yeah. He was awesome, right? So they want a stud pitching prospect back usually. If I'm going to give you a big league starter who's proven, well, you got to give me something that might have the chance of replicating him down the road. Like I need to recoup my loss. And a position player can do it too. If that organization has a depth of pitching, fine. I'm not sure the Red Sox have a good pitching prospect to trade. That you tell me. I mean, again, you guys know the system better than I do. do they have like a can't miss, or, someone that people look at and say, well, they got two guys who are front end that are going to be pretty good. They'll be here in a couple of years.
It's Bayo, who's not a prospect, but when
they told the White Sox to fuck themselves when they asked about him, haven't gone back.
When they called on Dylan Cease last trade deadline, Bayo was the name that came up. And I mean, it makes no sense to trade for Cease because you want to get Cease to add to Bayo, not to subtract Bayo to get Cease. So no, I don't believe that they have a stud pitching prospect that they could flip in a deal for a proven commodity starting pitcher. I don't think that computes.
The best options you have, right? Like you got Luis Perales, who's your number 7 prospect. I like the arm, but at the end of the day, he's gotten to high A. Like that's it. And there's more likely than not, he's a reliever. Welcome and Gonzalez got up to double A, still walking like 5 guys per 9. Most likely a reliever. Just where I'd sit there and I'd say, well, work out a 3-team trade, because guess what? You do have that many position player prospects. Go find that piece somewhere else. There's deals to make. It's just, guess what? It's going to hurt. It's going to hurt, and you're going to have to get over it. There's a chance you lose this deal and people laugh at you. But do you want to win? Do you want to make the effort? Or do you just keep kicking the can down the road till nobody gives a fuck? Till you are even more irrelevant than you are today? How scary is that to you? And I think that's where the question goes to Mazz, right? Are they really that scared of that outcome? I thought the Chaim Bloom firing was the signal that, hey, we are getting a little nervous. The PR hit is too much. We need to win people back. But when you're not going to spend if you don't get Yamamoto, it really tells you they were just trying to get everybody's mind off them for a little bit, give them slack for a couple months, and they were just going to keep with the same cycle again.
I mean, I fear that's where we are. I just, the whole we're going to go after it full throttle, you can't turn that on and off.
That'll be his John Henry comment. That'll be the reason why you don't hear from Tom Werner anymore over the next couple of years.
I told you, like, as much as people get pissed when owners don't talk, and I get it, I understand, they want accountability. Do you think anybody's ever going to like the owner? Like, no, they're never going to like the owner. They can't, the people can't stand the owners of the companies and the owners of the teams because they can't possibly relate. So like, so as much as that people get angry, it's like, well, they don't answer. They're not accountable. Okay. Agreed. They're not. If I were them, I would never talk. I mean, every time they talk, they say something they regret. So at least when it comes to the Red Sox. So like, again, what was Werner thinking with the phrase full throttle? What are you thinking?
Do you think that there's not a miscommunication, more so a lack of communication between Tom and John?
I think, there probably some, but I think that in terms of how, and I guess that relates to PR, Jared, would be my answer. In other words, I think economically, they've had the conversations. They know how they want to run it. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, Henry's really the one that matters, right?
Yeah.
He's the majority owner, and Werner's got sort of a different specialty in the ownership group when it comes to Nesson and the media and, or the television product and all that. But I just think that Henry's a numbers guy. He looks at it like he's running an insurance company. He's obviously a better businessman than all of us put together. But I don't want someone who just runs it like a business. I don't think any fan does. I think this is why people want local ownership, because a local owner typically has an emotional investment and a connection that is hard to replicate. And they understand what the team means. And so, look, when you look at the Patriots, like, not to go down this road, but the Kraft's economic approach to the Patriots is not that different than what the Red Sox are preaching for the.
I was pushing that for a very long time, and people looked at me crazy. It's very similar, similar.
But because he's local, people are more apt to buy the bullcrap. Henry and Werner don't get that luxury. And I'm not telling you that it's totally apples to apples. Most comparisons don't work, which is why we make them.
Don't cross sports, Mazz.
Yeah, but like, I don't know. To me, it comes down to, do you want to win or not? If you want to win, you'll get your money back at the end. That's when you'll get your money back. When you sell the team and move on, and the franchise value has gone up from $770 million when you bought it to $4.5 billion, which is what it's worth now. You'll get your money. When you cash out, you will get your dough. And in the interim, you can borrow against your asset and invest in other things and make a truckload. Okay.
Isn't that the Padres conversation, though? And rest in peace, Peter Seidler. But what he was doing before he passed away. And listen, they pushed so far beyond this past year, likely because they knew what was going to be the outcome, trying to get him that ring. But how much he pushed for that community. Do you see the way they cherish him, respect him, even before his passing, what it meant for them to push as hard as they did there? And that's a place that did not spend like Boston. Don't get me wrong. That's not ignoring the 4 rings that John Henry and everyone's won here. But when you see how much that intent to win is there and how badly they want it, fans will sit there even when the team doesn't live up to the hype that Padres team should have the last couple of years and say, damn, what can we say? They threw everything possible there. You throw your hands up, that's baseball. That's the game. When you have the lack of effort, when you don't even spend up to the luxury tax last year, you're $5 million short, and your team was just needing arms at that point instead of bullpen games, that's where people get pissed. And that's a team, the Padres, in such a smaller market that were doing that to the point they're in debt now and having to sell off parts of their roster to get by. Red Sox don't have to do that. There's no limit, and the Padres were willing to push that hard.
Yeah, I mean, wanting to win like a psycho is not rational. So, because you look at it and you say, rationally, you can't win them all. It's just not realistic. But that mentality is necessary in order to win. And so if you don't have it, what's the point? Like, I don't mean this in a cavalier way, like F them. They've been good owners here. They delivered what they were supposed to deliver. The franchise value has gone up. There've been a lot of bad years in there, but overall, hell, they hadn't won in 86 years. But if you've lost that drive, like if it's not about that anymore, well, then give it to someone else and go buy something else. Like, buy another team that hasn't won so that you can have that drive again. Like to me, and look, I would prefer these guys stay. Again, I think they've been good owners, but if they're not going to be as engaged as they've been in the past, then why stay? Like go sell something else.
When Chaim was here, I would poke around and kind of to play off of the question that I asked John Henry at Winter Weekend last year. The way that I phrased it, I mean, I was curious too. I kind of hid behind everyone else, but I was like, the fans want to know. But I was like, I want to know,
of course,
do you still care about the Boston Red Sox? And he famously looked at his watch, and that was interpreted as how much time is left. Get me off this fucking stage. I interpret it as how long have I been here for? And you're asking if I still care? Like, I've been here for 2 decades. And in having conversations with other people within the Red Sox, they will tell you John Henry does still care, but the difference is Dave Dombrowski had a way to convince John Henry to spend money that these other guys do not have. That's what it comes down to. So it's falls
pushback,
on
Jared.
Yep, it falls on John Henry because when the Red Sox don't spend money, it's John Henry's money, and that means John Henry is not spending the money. Okay, but there is someone. It's the general manager, the chief baseball officer, whatever the fuck you want to call him. He's the financial advisor. And if you're not advising strongly enough or convincingly enough, well, guess what? That money's not going to go anywhere. Dave Dombrowski, and I'm not. This is not me saying, "Oh, bring back Dave," because I know that plenty of people do that. But I'm just letting you know that this is how it operates. Dave Dombrowski had a way to convince John Henry that Chaim Bloom and currently Craig Breslow did not have that ability to do. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah, it's the pushback. It's the pushback. They don't have it anymore. There isn't anyone. And look, I like a lot of the people over there. I always have. I think the world is Sam Kennedy. He's as good a person as you'll ever meet. And so, but someone needs to say, "Hey guys, why are you in this now?" Can I ask you that? Why are you in it? Are you in it to win, or is this just another part of the FSG empire? Right now, I'm using the acronyms.
like
Milliken. Okay. Is this just another part of the empire? You want to be in, virtual golf, and you want to be part of the PGA, and you want to be part of NASCAR, and you want to get into the NBA or the NFL. But why? Because you want to own the world, or because you want to win championships? Which one? So like, I think that's a reasonable question for people to ask now. And look, they can tell you whatever they want. You know by watching them whether they're serious or not. That's, it's, I always say this, we're in the talk business, so you can't do it this way. But don't judge them on what they say. Judge them on what they do. And to me, they haven't shown me. They haven't shown me now for years that they care like they used to. And so
the Devers contract didn't do anything for you?
No, I felt like that
they had to do that.
Didn't have a choice.
Exactly. Yeah, I think if they were winning, they'd have let Devers go. You understand? Like, to me, there's a difference there. It's, well, we can't let him. The other thing is Devers fit the profile, basically mid-20s, just beyond. And okay, that one's a little safer an investment. And it makes sense too. Known commodity. We've had him in the house. We know what he is. We know who he is. Like, so you got good knowledge there. I get all that. But if they lost Devers, oh, forget it. It was over. I mean, they took a massive hit anyway.
I don't want to say it's already over, but I feel like we're approaching that. If, like, you as someone, you're pretty online. But I mean, like, sports radio in this market, not just Felger Mazz, any show, they're just not touching baseball. If this were 2003, going into 2003, and the Red Sox whiffed on Yamamoto, the city would burn to the fucking ground.
It would.
And I don't know that I don't know what the reaction is going to be. It's definitely not going to be what it would have been 20 years ago, like pre-2004. But I think the fans are going to be really upset. And I saw Cotillo talk about this on Twitter today, that I think we are a Yamamoto miss away from the sell the team campaign. Like, I feel like that is not far off. Like, after the Mookie Betts trade, and I didn't realize this leading into it. I guess I should have seen it coming, but Mookie coming back this past year ripped those fucking stitches right out. I honestly think that if they didn't change the schedule and the Dodgers never came to Fenway over the summer, that Heimblum doesn't get fired. I think that there's a ripple effect there somewhere. I can't remember if Coley was the one who said that, but I completely agree with that stance, that the fans just got fucking pissed all over again. And now here we are, full throttle offseason, $1 million spent. Christmas is in 5 fucking days, and Yamamoto's decision could be coming, I don't know, within the next 40 something hours. Like, it's not far off from him making his decision, and I've already mentally prepared for that decision to not be Boston. So what happens then? What do they do?
Could get ugly. But this is part of the problem, too. People don't care like they did 20 years ago, which is why they've been able to get away with it. And they know that, too. They say, like, well, we don't have the same command or control of the market like we did before. So, look, I don't know what the right answers are.
How is that not alarming to them?
Because they may have just accepted the reality that it'll never be what it was. Because how do you replicate 86 years without a world title?
To Tyler's point earlier, when I talked to guys that were on the 2018 team, they were also on the 21 team, they all said the Fenway Park was louder during the 21 playoffs than at any point during the 2018 World Series run. So you had it right in front of you. Like, I'm not saying, like, a lot of those pieces, it wasn't like a lightning in a bottle team, but a lot of those pieces were veteran pieces and guys that were going to walk, whatever. You didn't want Kyle Schwarber, whatever. Nathan Eovaldi, another piece. But, like, you had a good enough core to supplement and build off of what you just did in the playoffs in 2021. Like, yeah, you may have fallen ass backwards into an ALCS 2 games from the World Series run. I don't think that any of us expected that team to do what they did, but they did. And the fan interest, it was high. Like, it was like,
fun.
I'm trying to think of like a comp. Like, it was higher than 18, but it was like lower than 07. Like, it was somewhere in there. Like, it like fan interest was high. And what did you do with it? you fucking last place, then you promise a full throttle offseason, and then you spend $1 million. And then what happens to the team next year? Like, I'm not saying it's done. Like, they could sign Montgomery, and guys that are already here could take a step forward. They could sign Whit Merrifield, who Tyler apparently wants to throw on a private island, never to be seen again, and shore up the defense up the middle. Like, there's still, to your point, Tony, there's still trades that can be made. Like, I think the free agent pool is drying up a little bit. There's still trades to be made. I'm not saying they're going to run back the same roster that they did last year, but how many moves away, realistically, are they from having a team in 2024 that isn't going to shit down the back of their leg like they did the last 2 years? How many moves can we realistically expect them to make so that this is a presentable roster that's not going to embarrass themselves for a third straight year in last place? That's my question.
Yeah, it's a good one. I mean, look, I think they need 2 starters. Okay, I think
Torres says 3. The manager of the team says 3.
But that scares me because that's telling me, all right, you're looking for, quantity over quality. You don't need quantity. You need quality right now. You need top of the rotation. Don't give me 3 4s and tell me, we'll let it play out. We got Garrett Whitlock and Tanner Houck here. Let them throw and let's see what happens. Maybe one of them jumps out. You need quality. Quantity is not going to get you where you need to be to compete in the AL East. Sorry.
I mean, again, what does that get you? 82 and 80? Like, that's not getting you anywhere. You need better than that.
This is what outrages me so much about this and the whole Yamamoto conversation. I want Yamamoto. Everybody wants it. It's not an excuse to miss out on him. You should have the money there. If the money's there and he picks someone else, you throw your hands up. That is what it is. It sucks, but you lost out. He gets the pick. If you want to win, you will find a way to make this roster better. How desperate are you? Saying there's no other options for them to compete, I just won't allow it. That's saying, sorry, we couldn't figure it out. It's your job to find the pathway. It's your job. Find the path. Get uncomfortable, get weird, be creative. Craig Breslow, you're supposed to be creative, right? Chaim Bloom, lacked creativity the last couple of years. Never recovered creatively after some of those bad trades he had early on. Well, you need to find the path to do it. Don't give me you missed out on Yamamoto. It's another bridge year. It's just going to be year after year after year of that. Are you serious? Just be serious. You can trade for guys. You can do different things. It's the whole point of all of this. If it's just one guy and that's going to do or die your offseason, you already failed because you didn't have a plan B, C, D, E, F. You only had plan A and you hope for the best.
So I'm happy to hear that Milliken has gotten angry. This is good. Mm-hmm. It's taken a while, but Milliken, you're growing as a human being, learning how to express your anger. And listen, I'm supposed to meet my wife a half hour ago. So you guys,
I'm sorry, Tom.
Thank you, man.
You should consider yourself privileged that I chose you over her. I'm just hoping she's still here and that the suitcases aren't packed by the time I walk over there. Mm-hmm. And I have realized during this process how much I miss commercial breaks. This is hard.
We're still going to do like another hour after you leave.
I know that. Yeah. I've had this discussion with you. Mm-hmm. Like you got to bring on I'm trying to Burt Breer and McAdam. They'll talk for a long time.
Yeah.
You bring on those 2 guys. You're in business. But I got to get the hell out of here.
Okay, Tony. You tell the missus we say hello. Happy holidays to you both. Thank you so much for taking the time. We'll do this again sometime soon. Maybe after they don't sign Yamamoto, we can bring you back for some Angry Mazz.
I'd be happy to. Are you kidding? Milliken, I'll see you at the office.
I'll see you, Jared. Mazz. Thank you.
Jared, happy holidays to you.
Well.
Jake, you got to come out of your shell, buddy.
Yeah. Appreciate that, Mazz. I'll see you around.
Happy holidays. All right. See you guys
Tony.
later.
Mazz.
All right. Bye.
It's Tony Maserati, 98.5, the Sports Hub. That was some good ball talk. With Tony.
I think what Mazz brings to the table that's very unique is someone who, and a lot of people don't know because, people my age are like, oh, he's always been this guy on the radio giving you hot takes or whatever. The guy was a beat writer, man, in this city, doing it for a long time. I will never leak the stories he's told me, but working with him the last couple of years doing the baseball hour to hear some of the stuff, old stories, things you think you know and how they played out, he will tell you things and tell you what actually went down, and you start to realize, man, his catalog of knowledge and stuff like that goes a long way back.
Yeah. Tony was my favorite writer. I'm not saying was because he's not anymore. I just don't really read, and he doesn't really write anymore. But yeah, he was my
Sports Hub website. Check it out. Usually once a
from
week,
time to
get
time.
something.
Yeah. I just don't really read anymore. My favorite Red Sox writer. Met him for the first time. You'll appreciate this, Tyler. The first time I ever met Tony Mazz was the night of the Manny Ramirez walk-off home run, ALDS Game 2 against the Angels in what year was it?
2007, baby.
That's right, T-Dog. That's right. It's my guy right there.
I got you, bro.
We got to talk about some other topics, but before we do that, I recorded something earlier today. I'm sorry, T-Dog. You were working. I would have had you involved in this, but you were on the ones and twos for Zolak and Bertrand on 98.5 The Sports Hub. But you guys, you may remember this.
What happened to Bullet?
He died.
So I had on two very special individuals who can tell us the origin story behind that drop. But they, during the holiday season, they are in need of the listeners' help. So I had them on the podcast to talk about where that soundbite came from, but also their personal stories that they are going to share with you. And hopefully, if you can find it in your hearts to donate, then Jake and I are going to be sharing the GoFundMe on our socials. But without further ado, Anna-Lee and Sharon. Okay. Two very special guests that are friends, family of the Name Redacted community. Anna-Lee, Sharon, if you've listened to the podcast this season, you might remember a story of me going on the field with two lovely ladies who have a story that we're gonna share with you today. And maybe you remember that story, maybe you don't. But if you listen to the podcast, I know that you know this.
What happened to Bullet?
He died.
Okay, so let's just start right there. So that drop originated from you guys, basically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Tell me about it.
That was from Anna.
So, my niece is 3, and she loves Name Redacted. She likes Baseball is Dead too, but Name Redacted is her thing. Like, she'll, the other night we were sitting at dinner, and she goes, "The Red Sox lost a lot." And I said, "Who told you that?" And she goes, "Jared." So she loves it. I didn't realize how much my mom was playing it for her in the car. And we're watching a TV show, and a kid named Tyler pops up on the screen, and she goes, "Tyler killed Bullet."
He did.
And so that's how it started. And we were sending you guys a no filter package, and she was like, "Oh, I'm going to paint." She was painting pictures, and I was like, "Well, what happened to Bullet?" So I was trying to take a video of it to send to you. And she goes, and she had like food on her mouth, like total toddler moment. And she goes, "He died." And it just ran from there. Like, she tells everybody now.
Yeah. So she made me like these like little cards and like this like heart shaped thing. Like, it's all like in my kitchen. Like, I have it like very proudly displayed in my kitchen. But I figured, it's the holiday season. Christmas is coming up this weekend. It's a time for giving. It's a time for caring. And you guys have a story that obviously has touched me personally. And I know that because, like you're now like a part of this community, I know that it will touch the people that are listening. So I just wanted you to be able to have this platform to share what's going on and how we can help.
Fill everybody in. I have a hereditary disease called Polycystic Kidney Disease. So my kidneys are failing. I'm on a transplant list. So actively looking for donors to replace kidney. Polycystic kidney disease has run from my aunts. I had 2 aunts who died due to PKD with brain hemorrhages. We are a transplant poster children family. I have cousins, uncle, sister, brother, nephew, all who have had transplants. There's nothing you can do about PKD, and what it does is enlarge your kidneys. So like mine are like the size of footballs in my body, and it just stops filtering your blood. So of course that causes a lot of other medical issues and drains a lot of energy. So that's it in a nutshell.
I think with PKD though, it's hard because it's not necessarily an uncommon disease. It's just a disease that's been found more recently over the last, I mean, it's not super recent, like 40, 50 years, but it takes over other parts of your body too. Like, a lot of people end up needing a liver transplant, stuff like that, just because it impacts other parts of your body beyond your kidneys. And there's a lot of guilt with that. We're waiting for somebody to die so that I have more time with my mom. And that's really something that we've kind of had to come to terms with. If we don't get a living donor in time, we're waiting 7 years is the average wait time right now for my mom's blood type. Or at least in our region it is. So the hard part about that is I watched my grandma die from this. So there's some level of responsibility there that I have to, keep my niece from watching that happen. And buying that time comes with a lot of guilt because we're waiting for somebody else to lose somebody. So living donor kidneys last longer, and they give more chance. We're not going to cure my mom, right? But it gives us opportunity to make more memories with her.
Mm-hmm. And this is something like, how long roughly would you say have you been waiting already?
Since March
of this year.
Yeah. You have to pretty much be super close to failure for them to even put you on the list, which is the hard thing. They can't do a lot about it until you're on the list.
Right.
You're just waiting for everything to fail, basically.
Right. And you, Anna-Lee, have been dealing with things yourself on top of all this.
Yeah, it's been, it was kind of I think I'm processing right now, to be honest with you. Couple months in the middle of summer, I just started having random chest pains, randomly felt a lump, which I was like, great, I have cysts. This is just the start, PKD infects your whole body. Honestly thought it was something with that. Naively, went in to get it checked just in case because I was in a lot of pain. And doctor was like, probably just a cyst. Within 2 months, I had surgery to remove a rare tumor. And it was one of those things where we didn't do it quick, it would have spread and taken over. And now, it's something I'll have to deal with for the rest of my life. It wasn't cancerous, but it is due to underlying genetic reasons. Mm-hmm. So on top of trying to take care of my mom, I've been dealing with that. I'm still not honestly healed. I'm having a lot of, it feels so stupid because as an adult, it's like, I don't have to put my laundry away, but I can't put my laundry away now. Mm-hmm. So, it's weird, little stuff like that, putting clothes on hangers and putting hangers on my closet stuff is just, it's painful. And, we went into surgery expecting a 2 centimeter mass and it was over 6.5 by the time I got in. And that was over 2 weeks. So that was hard.
So you're still dealing with this as well.
Yeah. And then on top of it, I took 2 weeks off for surgery, went back and did not have a job to go back to.
How is that possible? So when you told me that, I was like, how the fuck is that possible? That's crazy to me.
That's been the most difficult part, to be honest with you, is we've had a lot of wonderful people be there for us. There's been a lot of exposure of people that just don't care. Mm-hmm. And, in Colorado, we're a right to work state, so they don't have to keep you. The crummy part about that is Colorado unemployment can take anywhere from 6 weeks to almost a year to get your check now because of the new system. And those, that all happens. And then all of a sudden medical bills kick in and it piles on. And I think because of all of that going on, I didn't process it.
Sure.
And so now the depression and the anxiety have really set in more lately, which obviously sucks because then you feel guilty at the holidays for being a Debbie Downer, and it's hard.
Well, don't feel guilty. Don't feel guilty. I mean, you guys, so what month was that we went out on the field?
May.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I've gotten to know you guys since May. We've kept in touch. I've done FaceTime calls because I miss your mom. So I think, don't feel guilty about something like this, which is why I wanted to do something like this, because you guys have a GoFundMe. I feel like your story is going to touch a lot of people that listen to the show. So I feel like it was the least that we could do was get the message out to people that listen, and try and help you guys out a little bit here, especially during the holiday season. I know how hard it can be. So hopefully that's what happens. Your story resonates with a lot of folks. And so we'll tweet out the GoFundMe link. We'll post it on our Instagram if you're listening, and we can put it in the Jake. We can put it in the link to the description on the YouTube too, right?
Yep, we can do that.
Okay, put it in the link on the YouTube video. We'll tweet it. We'll put it on Instagram if you're looking for it, so that you can help these ladies out if you feel so inclined. But to end on a positive note, tell me about that experience at Fenway, because I know the Red Sox really took care of you guys, and it was a fun trip for the both of you.
Yeah, that was like a adult Make-A-Wish. That was awesome.
It was funny because we were at Coors Field, and obviously that is just depressing. And so we were like, oh, we should go to, because we'd been to St. Louis before, and we were like, oh, we should go to Pappy's, which is close by. Oh, we should say that, sorry. But we were like, oh, there's food down there. And then we were like, well, screw it. We should just go all the way to Fenway. My mom can't travel. You can't be too far away from a hospital.
That was our last trip.
So it was like, oh, well, if we're going to, not to be depressing, but it's like, I've watched how many people in my family die from this. I'm well aware of how this ends. And so it was like the most positive way that we could spend that time before she got on the list, because we don't know when we're going to be able to do that again. So it was cool in the idea that it was nothing we'd experience had we not just decided to go all in.
Right. Yeah. I mean, the Red Sox are great with stuff like that. They, I've seen it time and time again. People that deserve these special experiences, they get them tenfold. Where did they sit you guys? What was the whole day like?
Well, so we met up with Alejandro outside, he's Sam Kennedy's assistant. Sweetest guy
going.
So kind.
Mm-hmm.
And we went onto the field for batting practice, met up with you, and we're just chilling, talking to you or whatever. And Jared's like, oh, we'll just get you at home plate. So we went and had dinner.
On the Red Sox.
Yeah. They were so kind. They treated us to dinner.
Mm-hmm.
And then we met Sarah, she's a great friend of ours now. When I had surgery, she sent me a get well package, and it was just so cool. But we hung out with her, and then we actually sat in Sam's seats for a while, behind home plate.
Oh, okay. Because he also has, I want to say his seats are front row next to the visiting dugout. He's probably got a bunch of seats.
So then mom loves Arenado. So She was like, well, I just want to see him. And he walks up right next to her, because they moved us down there. And he walks up right next to her, and she's just white as a ghost. And she's like, he's right there. And I was like, can you smell him? And she's like, yeah. We were so close.
That's funny.
So that was cool. It was really, and she looked at me. It was the first time I'd seen my mom. So I found out she had PKD by accident. So she tried to hide it until I could graduate college, and that didn't work. So it was the first time since that moment, I think, we lived outside of PKD. And I lived outside of that trauma, not to make it about me, but you know, it's hard when it's your mom. Mm-hmm. And so it's the first time she really looked at me and was like, I feel okay again. And that was really cool.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I could see how happy the both of you guys were that day at Fenway. So again, shout out to the Red Sox for making that happen for you guys. Again, we're going to be posting the GoFundMe on the Name Redacted Twitter and Instagram. And if you're watching this on YouTube, then it'll also be in the description below the video. So Sharon, Anna-Lee, I want to thank you guys for coming on. You know that I care about you guys a lot, and I hope that this helps in some way for you both.
Thank you for everything.
You've been a great support, and it's nice to have the support from somebody, and also the break and laughs that I get from the podcast. So that's real uplifting.
What happened to Bullet?
He died. Yes, he did. Hopefully, let's have you guys on again soon with a happy update at some point.
Good deal. Thank you guys so much.
Great.
Anytime.
Thank you.
It's good to see you guys.
You too.
You too, Jared.
Really appreciate them taking the time for coming on. Again, the link to the GoFundMe will be on Twitter, Instagram. If you're watching on YouTube, it's in the description link below. Any amount would be greatly appreciated. We thank you very much. They certainly deserve it. They are amazing people. You know who's not an amazing person, Tyler?
Who? Talk to me.
I'm glad that you know what? This may be the proudest that I've ever been of you.
Really?
Yes. Because first of all, I appreciate nothing I love more than a tweet beef. I feel like I've been in the tweet beef streets for a long time. A long time. I used to just I'm that dude from your high school that would just get in a fight because he's bored. Like that's me in the Twitter streets, or at least it was. I've grown. I don't do it so much anymore, but like I still get that itch from time to time. And I just know, like, it's like, you're not gonna just like pick a fight. You see that video of the drunk dude that picked a fight with Mike Tyson on the plane?
Oh, yeah. Idiot. And then gets absolutely smoked and then tries to sue the guy.
Yeah. So like, that's kind of how I feel. Like I'm more zen in my 30s than I was in my 20s. In my 20s, anybody could get it. Like I would come at any writer, any player, any slapdick on Twitter. Anyone could get it. Did not matter. And broadcasters, everyone. I fought with that. MLB, like official team Twitter accounts. I was coming after everyone. And I was probably, I don't know, my professional record, like 97-0. Like I've never took an L in a Twitter fight. Never. I can't remember one time where I was like, fuck. That wasn't my best work.
And the truth is, and people, we're talking about Marino Pepin. The truth is, you could tell in this behavior by him where, he quote tweeted you saying, I'll wait for your thing. But when you posted your thing of when the passing tweet came out, your tweet that just dunked on him, not a word under your tweet. But he comes to me. He comes to me to talk shit. You know why? Because he's like, damn, dog, I know that record. I know I'm going to get knocked out. This kid, he hasn't fought too many times, which if you knew me in 2021, I beefed a lot harder on Twitter back then. I've kind of tried to chill out a little bit. I was always fighting. But me, he was like, damn, this looks like an easy fight. Let's see what's good.
Yeah, he took a swipe at you a couple times. I think others took it worse. Like, I think he called like Boston Strong like a nobody. Or whatever.
That's another guy. He screenshot. He went after Gordo, Boston Sports Gordo, who, I would say, posts news content, a lot of Red Sox, but Boston Sports. Had no problem trying to dance on those people either.
Yeah, well, I'm a savage. Like, I will fucking, like, if you come at me in like a Twitter fight, like, it'll start off as like you slap me, I slap you back, and then you might hit me a little bit harder, and then I'll just fucking grab you by a throat and like rip your larynx out. Like, I don't fuck around in Twitter fights. Like, ask Pete Abe. Pete Abe's career has never recovered, and it's been 8 years.
Still holding his piss.
Yeah, he literally is still holding his piss to avoid me in public. And his career just hasn't recovered. Like he was like a promising like Red Sox reporter until then, and then since then, everyone's like, "Fuck that guy." And people now like don't even remember what the fight was about. They just like in their head subconsciously, they're like, "I know I fucking hate you. I don't remember why, but fuck you." And like that's where we're at with Pete Abe. But Marino Pepin, and the reason why I'm so proud of you were super petty in your tweet beef, and I did the Randy Orton. Like he came at me. I was at what was that? Saturday?
Monday.
No, because I was at Legal Seafood. Like I was at like the mall. Like so it had to, but it was Sunday. It was Sunday. Yeah. When he came at me, when he tweeted me, it was Sunday.
Oh, yeah. When he quote tweeted the three of us and said a bunch of different things, basically saying, I'll wait for you, respect, watch.
And I was an innocent bystander. So as Tyler will illustrate here for you in just a moment, if you don't know who Marino Pepin is, he's this dude that just fucking throws shit against the wall. And then if he's right, he'll throw himself a party. And if he's wrong, he just deletes the tweets. He just guesses. And I forgot. Tyler went back and looked up some of these tweets. This motherfucker has been making shit up for at least a decade. At least. And Tyler found tweets of mine from 2014 where I'm calling this fucking dude out for being wrong, just blatantly wrong about shit. And we'll get to that in a second. But I did my Randy Orton move where I let him think that he won by me standing down, knowing that I had the fucking ace in the hole. I was just like, I have you beat, but I'm just waiting. I'm biding my time to let the world know that I have you beat. So he tweets out more or less that the Red Sox made an offer of $300 million to Yamamoto
with incentives, all of it, 300 plus.
Yeah. And then he's tweeting that the Red Sox have a meeting at Fenway Park with Yamamoto and all this shit. And I'm asking her, I'm like, did the Red Sox have another meeting with Yamamoto? Nope. I'm like, okay. Did you make an offer? Make an offer to Yamamoto? No. Teams are not going to be making offers for the next few days. So offers are not even in yet.
Legit bidding has not begun.
Okay. Cool. So then all I tweeted was, I'll wait for passing. That's all I said.
Classier than me. Jared, you were much classier than me, who just straight up put on the timeline, not doing this shit again. No. I'm not doing the Marino Pepin shit again. I'm sorry. No, I understand that we're desperate. I ain't doing it. I didn't tag him, but I tweeted his whole name out.
And more recently, if you're a Red Sox fan on Red Sox Twitter, this is the dude that was putting out reports that Red Sox, Xander Bogaerts, this shit's going down. Stay positive. He was that guy. I said, I feel good about it. This motherfucker was one of the main dudes that had it in the bag. Done deal. Red Sox, Xander Bogaerts at the finish line. This shit's done. Don't worry about it. Stay positive. So I was just kind of going off the Bogaerts shit where I was like, you know what? I'm still too scarred from your Red Sox Bogaerts coverage for me to, look at your Yamamoto report and be like, you know what? I believe Marino Pepin. I don't. So all I tweeted was, I'll wait for passing, which is how every baseball fan should feel, right? Of course, there are going to be other reporters that have information. Yes, it's useful. There's a lot of misinformation this winter. Look at the Shohei Ohtani stuff that happened with Toronto. All of that was misinformation. An entire fan base was misled about a generational talent, maybe the best player of all time, coming to their baseball team, and they were all crushed because they believed this misinformation. So I see Marino Pepin. Marino, I make shit up all the fucking time. Pepin is tweeting about Yamamoto and the Red Sox, and all I said was, no, if you guys want to believe it, go ahead. Go. I personally am gonna wait for Jeffrey Passan. That's okay. And then he quote tweets it, mind you, after I already have talked to other people. There's no offer, there's no second meeting, whatever. And he just goes, I'll wait for your tweet. I was like, motherfucker. I was like, here I am eating my fucking lobster mac and cheese at Legal Seafood, reading Marino Pepin come at me, and I'm just like, you're going to get it, Marino. You're going to get it. I don't know when, but it's coming, and I know it's coming. And then 2 days later, Passan puts out there's no offer. That's just completely inaccurate.
Now, the middle piece in this was Jim Bowden put out a report later that day, that Sunday.
Full of shit too.
Well, that's the thing. And he's walked it back in all his tweets. If you go and look at it now, he's tweeting exactly in the same line as someone like Passan.
Yeah, that's why I saw who made Passan God? Like Pepin says one thing, but like Bowden agreed with them, and then Passan says that it's inaccurate, so that means it's inaccurate? Yeah. Pepin has a long history of making shit up. Bowden has a long history of being wrong about shit. When is one time that Jeff Passan has thrown up a J and it hasn't been nothing but net every single fucking time? So yeah. Okay, Marino, like don't come at me just because I want to be right about it. Like I didn't come at him. I did not say this guy's full of shit, which I could have said. Like people, I'm not going to name names, but like, you know, when I put my tweet out, you know, with the screenshot of him saying $300 million offer and then him saying, oh, I'll wait for your tweet then. And I just fucking dunked on him. There were a lot of people in baseball circles that were like, fuck that guy. He is full of shit. Notorious full of shit guy. So I just
pouring out of his ass. Full of shit.
I bided my time. And there's a long, it's going to take a long time. It's going to take a long time, but there's one other tweet that I'm waiting to dunk on someone for. This individual tweeted me in 2014 and I still remember the tweet. And if something happens later down the line in my career, you bet your fucking ass I'm coming back to that tweet from 2014. I will not forget it. But yeah, no, that's I appreciate your pettiness, Tyler. Patience is sometimes key. Because what I said to you was, you know, if you're gonna get yourself into a tweet beef, you can't go back and forth with these like paragraphs because then you're automatically triggered. Doesn't even matter if you have bars in there. It's just like, you know, if you 3 sentences reply, then it's just, you know, you're not setting yourself up for success. But you came back with a one-liner, you buried him in that. Yeah, hold up the hand of the champ, Tyler Milliken.
Thank you. And listen, that tweet I had in there, and for people who don't know, you can go see it on my profile, but I had a tweet going back to September, and multiple people had sent this to me. He was copying and pasting my tweets, writing them in Spanish and reposting them. And he had done it with this specific Tristan Casas tweet. You can look at the numbers. There's some traditional stats, DRS. It's exactly copy and pasted. And he plugged it right in. Someone went to his page and said, hey, man, why are you copying Tyler? Like, Tyler put this out, yada, yada. He just blocks them immediately. And he would do that. So whatever. I've had that in my pocket till September.
Keeps sucking his own dick.
Oh, he thinks he's like a gift.
He's like, crazy. I'm a journalist. These people are not journalists, so therefore, like, their opinions don't count and their sources don't matter. This is
I don't break news, bro. I don't break news.
Hold on. So he's like throating himself because he's a journalist, but he's plagiarizing you. Like, he's not even trying to make it seem like he didn't even like change some of the words.
Nope.
You think that motherfucker's using defensive run saved? No.
Of course not.
Chance, dude. He has literally just selected a tweet of yours with statistical information, copied it, put it in the body of one of his tweets, and then hit send. Like, he didn't even change up the order that the stats were in. He didn't delete stats that he clearly doesn't use. He just fucking copied your tweet and pasted it and then wants to give everyone this whole ethical speech about journalism when he straight up plagiarized you.
And I'm not the only one he's done it to. He's done it to a lot of people where he's copied things and kind of treated it. And, you know, we can just start. All you got to do, I'm telling you, if you're bored, you want to have fun today, go on Twitter, type in Marino Pepin, the handle, everything, and just type in fake. And you will see all the different times. You can go back to stuff as far as John Lester, Jordan Zimmerman. This tweet right here, Jared didn't even remember it when I brought it to him.
No.
He tweets out, Red Sox acquire Cole Hamels for Mookie Betts, Sean Coyle, and Anthony Renato. Now, those are some throwback names. Jared just responds, nope. Now, a lot of these tweets are deleted, but through Twitter, the old way, you can see they were coming from his account through the old retweet way. And it's not just that. It carries in so many different ways. The Bogart situation, obviously, last year where he was fucking with everyone with the emojis and then tried to say they meant something different after he pushed the narrative that the Red Sox were getting closer and closer and closer. He tweets out fake quotes. The New York Porch Sports account, which if you're on baseball Twitter, we all know it's a guy who runs it, who puts out funny fake quotes. The only people who fall for it are people who aren't paying attention.
Right.
He has tweeted those quotes out as real multiple times with people all saying, hey man, this isn't true. Like, you're passing this to a Spanish audience and they may not get the joke because that's an English page. You're spreading it as false info and not correcting it. He's tweeting out fake videos and they're fake. They're edited and he's treating them like they're real. And people are telling him, dude, these are fake. What the hell are you talking about? No response. Nothing at all. Like, just go down and you will see all these different, like, calling him like John Heyman, like him stealing certain things people were putting out. We were talking about that old MLB NLAL account, that 14-year-old that was breaking stories. He was taking their stories and reposting them and then getting mad when, someone would confront him and then he would delete the tweet. It's all here. Just scroll up and down.
Doesn't he not even work for someone? Like, he doesn't have a job. He's just tweeting this shit.
He says it's something that he works for, like a Spanish station or something like that.
No.
WJDA.
That's made up.
It has to be. It has to be. But for a guy like that, and I've never met anything more embarrassing than a guy who steps on, he comes into your Twitter and says, hey, man, you just post what other journalists post. Yeah, I give credit to them, first off, unlike you do, where you just take certain stories and re-put them on your profile in different words. That's cool. Secondly, when someone calls you out for stealing their content and your response is, hey, man, you got to put your real face online if I'm going to have a debate with you. I have you in 4K stealing shit. You didn't even deny it. You just said, hey, like, hey, man, put a real picture. You want to see my face? I'm on the podcast once a week on here, multiple times during the friggin' season. I'm on Zolak and Bertrand 5 days a week. And that's not me trying to be braggadocious or anything, but I'm not some random on Twitter that has no place in media or anything. No. I'm publicly out here, for better or for worse, whether you're clowning me for how I look or whatever it is, I'm out here. So what is the argument? And that's why it's like, you can't argue with someone like that. The guy is just going to continue to walk this line of constantly putting out stuff, having to walk back reports, putting wrong things online. There's 10 years you can go back and find all this stuff. What more do you want? I don't break news. So say what you will about me not being a journalist. I haven't broken a story. I put out what other people do as an aggregator for Red Sox content. Not everybody has all day to go through articles like I do. I work in the industry, fortunately, and I can waste my time doing that. I realize the everyday guy most likely doesn't. I try to be that localized person. And all of this, when Bowden put his report out and we're all thinking he can be trustworthy, I put him in the tweet and said, hey, man, I'll acknowledge you. Hit this one. Then after all that, I was able to own up and do that. I tried to be a bigger person. Say, hey, man, it looks like I was wrong.
No, don't do that. Don't do that because
I get proven right anyways.
Yeah, but you should know that like Jim Bowden is not a super reliable source notoriously either. So like I ignored the Pepin tweet. I said I'm waiting for Passan. And then Bowden tweeted something along those lines. And
basically the same thing.
I quote tweeted it and I said, are we throttling? ? Like, I'm still questioning the legitimacy of it, even after a second person is putting it out there, because I know that it's sketchy sources on both of them. And again, I go back to, I'm not wrong for saying I'm waiting for Passan, because ultimately he's going to come out and he's going to say, hey, this is right or this is wrong. And I'll react to it then. I don't need to be first. I don't need to be someone that is jumping up and down in the Twitter streets being like, oh, wow, they made an offer for $300 million, just to have Passan put out that's completely inaccurate and then look like a fucking idiot because someone else is a slapdick reporter that doesn't actually have sources or reports inaccurate information or steals shit from other people and passes it off as their own. Like, I don't need to do that. So I'm fine with just waiting. And I did. And Passan put out his report. Hey, this was inaccurate. Boom. That's all you need to know. That's why we wait for Passan. That's why we wait.
And this is the best. Stupid. Exactly. And this is the best part about Twitter, because you can just see how many years in a row, like legit every single year, people tweeting, haha, fake report, fake shit, whatever it may be. Say what you will about John Morosi. He missed awfully bad with that Ohtani. Career damaging in a lot of ways. I think a lot of people took a step back and said, hey, man, like, yikes. Owns up to it, doesn't go after other people, just leaves it out there. This guy doubles down. He's fighting in the comments, calling people dishonest or whatever it may be. Dude, When you fuck up in this game, when you're a reporter and you miss, you own that shit and you keep it moving and you try to rebuild it. This guy, no fucks given. He doesn't care to mislead people or do it one way or the other. Instead, he just goes in there and tries to start shit. Like, you got caught stealing someone's content and you couldn't even fight it. You just accepted it. Any reporter that does that, you've lost your credibility. You've completely lost it. It's your job to be that branch to people, to give them honest information and try to communicate that to them. Instead, you took the lazy route, just like you often do with your reporting. You cut corners. You don't try to be right. You just try to pull shit and hope to get the most engagement possible. Well, great. It's worked on Red Sox Twitter 2 off seasons in a row. I hope it doesn't happen again. And for people who want to go out there and don't remember, please do your research about Rafael Devers when you say he broke the Rafael Devers story last year. No, he didn't. That was not him. Hector Gomez was the one who started it with the birthday cake and all that shit. We talked about it on here. I went back. I checked the receipts. There was another guy. I think his name was Moises. I was tweeting it all out underneath the tweet when people were like, oh, why are you going so hard after Marino? He seems like such a nice guy. Why are you calling his reports fake and all that? This is why, because people are so desperate for information. They're like just misremembering things or not even going back to what they actually were. Let me see if I can find the actual tweet here while I dig through.
What was it? When did he?
Oh, here we go.
The tweet that he fucked up on Lester too.
Yeah, there was another one from Lester where he said the deal with Lester was just about done. Like that they were finishing there. And this is the guy, Moises Fabian, who broke the Devers story, who had the actual numbers. Alex Spear quote tweeting it, giving him credit. I understand people are desperate. This guy did not give anything. If anything, his Devers timeline was wrong.
That fucking Steve claimed that he broke too?
I think so. It was something like that.
Steve is such a dildo because when I would break stories, he'd be like, I just don't get why you do that. Why do you have to break stories? And he was just mad because he wanted to break them.
Who doesn't want to? I hope I break a story one day.
That's what it was. He was just mad because he wasn't getting the information. And then he put out the fucking Devers numbers, even though someone else reported it first. And now because he put out the Devers numbers, he has occasional scoop guy is in his fucking Twitter bio. He went from I just don't get it. I don't get the news breaking thing. I don't get it. And now because he had one story that he didn't even actually break, he has occasional scoop guy in his fucking bio.
Oh God. It blows my mind that, and I know people are desperate. Please, these guys who do shit like this, do not give them a platform. Because they're engagement baiting. It isn't about getting people the right information.
It's never gonna stop.
Just look at all the comments last year.
All you have to do is put a report out there that paints your favorite team in a positive light. Stay positive, and people are gonna eat it up because they're dying. What I said at the start of the podcast, people are dying for news, reports, scoops, information. Anything that they can latch onto that's positive. That's what fans need. And this motherfucker puts it out there and it's hardly ever correct. It's never first. If it's correct, it's because he saw it from somewhere else. The dude is just full of shit. So.
And if you go back to those Bogarts tweets, just they had the cash emojis in the calendar as he tries to explain it away. Dude was getting destroyed for well over a month last year. Just read all the comments of them saying, you misled us, you didn't lead us. No accountability. Not even an ounce of it. And that's it. You can miss. People miss. It's part of life. You make a mistake. Just own it. Don't go around and start acting like you're some big tough guy because you luckily hit on one thing that didn't even end up being true.
No.
And that's why Jeff Passan specifically put the tweet out that way. And then he follows it up the following day with that visit. Oh, Yamamoto has agreed to come to Fenway Park. We find out that's never been the case whatsoever.
No.
It's dude, you embarrass yourself. And he's still on Twitter. He's still tweeting about it. He's still angry. It is what it is. Hold your L, buddy. Sorry.
Anyways, I'm glad we got that off our chest. I feel like I kind of spared him a little bit. I didn't go all that hard because I'm not even mad. I'm not even mad at the dude. Because I've known this about him for 10 years, apparently. I don't trust him. You shouldn't trust him. Wait for Passan.
I really love the Cole Hamels era on the Red Sox, man. It was friggin' incredible. I'm so mad they traded Mookie Betts.
Yeah, can you believe
for Cole Hamels? It was insane.
The Phillies won the Mookie Betts trade.
Seriously, that's the fucking reality this guy lives in. So if that's who you want to buy your source information off of, good luck, man.
Yeah, go ahead.
Have fun.
Yeah. And the accountability is that when he's wrong, he'll just delete it so that he never has a record of being wrong.
And if you type it in, like I said, fake, you will see the tweets that are deleted from people responding and being like, what the fuck are you talking about, man?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's all the shit that's in there. The receipts never die. They live on Twitter forever.
Yeah. Jake, how you feeling today?
I'm just tired, man. I'm exhausted of this bullshit. It's just Yamamoto's coming to Fenway. He's not at Fenway. We met with him. We didn't meet with him. We offered. We didn't offer. Then you got fucking Ben Verlander calling Jackie Robinson a piece of shit. I just gotta fucking log off. It's just too exhausting.
Might be the worst tweet I've ever seen. Honestly.
Yeah, that was bad. That was a bad. It's like it's at like 2,000 quote tweets the last time I looked at it. It's bad.
I wish Passan. I know he deleted the on your knees tweet.
Mm-hmm.
I wish he had the ability to continue to cook Ben Verlander, because you could just truly see it was one of the best dunks on baseball Twitter history.
It was.
He's classy though.
Well, I'm sure that like ESPN was like, you need to delete that.
He was doing the community a service.
Yeah. Is there anything else that happened in Red Sox world in the last week?
Some winter weekend stuff with prospects going.
Oh yeah. All right. Yeah. I did. You're right. I did want to talk about that. So the Red Sox put out the saddest lineup of all time for Red Sox winter weekend. No offense to any of the players that are on that list, but it's like there's no Sale, there's no Devers. Who else was notably missing?
I think Story was like the biggest name we got out of the entire group. I'm pulling it up right now.
Yeah, I mean it's not like that fucking team is littered with big names, but like the two biggest would have been Devers, Sale. Casas is going. But yeah, your two highest paid players are not going to be there. And then I saw today that
you want the list?
Who's notably missing? I don't need the whole fucking list.
Notably missing, Trevor Story is the biggest name out of the group. We're not getting a Garrett Whitlock this year. We're not getting a Bayo. Duran will be there. Tanner Houck will be there. Besides that, though, like when you're kind of talking about the reality of the team, this is kind of what it is.
Yeah, they just don't have stars. It's not even that they're not coming. They're not on the team.
Yeah, they just really don't have the ability to kind of bring those guys in. They got the obvious alumni or whatever, but that's really it.
Yeah. And then
no Kenley.
Oh yeah, no Kenley. You have the
Whitlock will be there. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think you're right. I did see his name on the list. You have the list of prospects, which I believe is like a new thing. Like I can't recall like prospects being at winter weekend before. So I obviously, Red Sox fans are pissed off and everyone is sassy and you're going to get sarcastic and snarky remarks to everything. And I saw a lot of like, oh, how much do they pay them to show up? And, like it's pathetic. Like you don't even have any stars in the team that you have to have your like top prospects come. Like that's pathetic. But I mean, I didn't react. I knew that would be some of the reaction. But my genuine reaction was like, that's pretty fucking cool. Like, I think the Red Sox are very wisely and smartly seeing that the fan base, A, is unhappy, but B, your everyday Red Sox fan right now, because they've been so bad and like you've lost a lot of the casuals, like you're left with just the diehards. The diehards know all these guys. The diehards are the ones that are driving out to Springfield 2 hours from Boston in the middle of a snowstorm to go to a Red Sox event. So they're very familiar. Like Kyle Teal and Marcelo Meyer and Roman Anthony being at this event might be the reason why people decide to go or not go at this point. I'm not even joking. Like,
think about it. You get to connect with what you hope is the future. Like you could say, hey, man, I was watching those guys when they came to winter weekend and they were in Double-A, and I get to watch them now try to grow and become the cornerstones the Red Sox are banking on them being. Like that's how you build those relationships and connections in an era where you say it all the time. We don't have a lot of strong connections to the players on the Red Sox anymore. That's just how the fan base feels, where it's not like in the past where you had your favorite players and you could lift, 6 or 7 guys that you were, in love with, that made you love being a Red Sox fan.
Yeah. Like I saw that and I was like, that's pretty cool. I'm still not going to go, but I think it's cool for the people that are going to go, That's who you're catering to. The diehards are the ones that are gonna drive 2 hours in the snow to this weekend event at a casino that's, let's face it, pretty shitty. It's small. It's not fun particularly. Like, you're there for the players. You are there for the Red Sox. And after 2 last place seasons, I get why people would be like, I don't know. But then you get to see guys like Meyer and Teal and Anthony, and you're like, yeah, actually, yeah, no, I will go out there for that, because if I can't be happy about my big league team, I can at least be happy about the future. Like, these guys are fucking good, and it'd be cool to, build a relationship with them now, so that by the time that they're big league stars, I can say I met him before he was a star. Like, that's cool. Like, that is a cool part about being a baseball fan, is that, you will have the fans that will go to Hadlock and Worcester and Greenville, all these other places, so that they can see the stars of tomorrow before they become stars. And some of them, you could meet them. Be like, yeah, no, I'm that dude that just signed a $300 million contract. Like, I met him when he was 19, So I think that's cool.
Dick Fitz will be there.
Are you going to go? Oh yeah, Dick Fitz is gonna. Are you gonna go?
I'm reconsidering since you're not going. I don't know. It feels a little weird for me to go without you.
Well, I mean, like, if I don't know. I mean, I'm sure like hotels are probably
definitely staying. I've looked into it. Everything's booked already there.
Yeah.
So you'd be staying off campus.
Yeah, that's gonna be a no for me, dog.
Yeah, it's like a lot of legwork, and at the end of the day, like you said, if there's no town hall either, it's.
Is there no town hall? Do we know that?
Jemai, seemingly last episode, continued the idea. Nothing's been announced. There's been no mention of it. Well, all right, we're getting closer and closer. It's December 20th. We're a month away. 1 month from today's winter weekend.
Yeah.
Like, there's no talk of it. That's a big part of it, right? Like, at least you had Craig Breslow, Heim Bloom last year, but John Henry, everyone up there taking the questions. If you're not even going to have that this year, and think about it. If Yamamoto signs elsewhere, say they miss out on Montgomery, you think they're going to take that risk?
No.
Hell no. So, like, you're really starting to limit. It would be fun to be with people in the community, don't get me wrong, but if you aren't going to be there, it feels like maybe it might be the wrong year to do it for the first time.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, at that point, like, what are you going for? Like,
I'm not a big autograph guy. Like, I know that for some people, that's a big thing. I appreciate them, don't get me wrong, but, like, I'm not someone who's going to go crazy out of my way and take time off work for it.
Yeah. If it were at Foxwoods, then it's like, all right, like, the event might not be great if they don't do a town hall, but like, at least we can have fun in the casino, and there's
Give me Encore.
Yeah, Encore would be cool too.
But I was there last night.
You were?
I was balling out. I was gambling.
Damn. How'd you do?
Yeah. I'm gonna need to borrow some money, man.
I can give you some money.
I lost $300. Yeah, it didn't do great last night. I was learning to play blackjack and roulette on the go. Well, and, I didn't really understand it until I was already down about 2.
That's tough, because I actually had a really good deal for you, because all I want for the holidays this year is some NBA action.
This is how I can make my money back.
Yeah. New customers can score $150 instantly in bonus bets just for betting $5. An instant dub just for you. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app right now. Use the promo code Jared, Jared. New customers can get $150 instantly in bonus bets for betting just $5 on basketball. Only on the DraftKings Sportsbook with the promo code Jared. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.1800gambler.net. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas. 21 plus age varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. See dkng.com/basketball for eligibility and deposit restrictions, terms, and responsible gaming resources.
Everyone knows I love basketball.
Hoop.
Yeah. Jake, I heard the Celtics are like, I see this on Twitter. The Celtics are like not a good fourth quarter team this year. They've been shitting the bed late.
I mean, kinda, but they're 20-6, so I feel like it's kind of hard to complain about that. They lost last night.
I saw Tomasi bitching about the Celtics.
Cora cooked him.
Cora did?
Yeah, on Bradfield's podcast. He right immediately, he's like, saw Tomas, you calling this team frauds already or whatever. He's like, your boy JT. I was like, Jesus, get after him, Macy. Listen, Cora, one of the most sneaky big Celtics fans of all time.
He loves the Celtics. He does. He loves the Celtics.
I need Cora at another game so we can get a whole nother catalog of memes. I still use a lot of those gifs from him when he was at the Celtics game.
Yeah. I have a sad story that I'd like to share to close out the episode today.
Okay, let's go.
It's sad.
Am I actually gonna? What's it about?
It's a personal sad story.
Oh, continue.
I hope I don't blow anyone's cover here, but I'm going to tell the story anyway and be as vague as I possibly can. So I get this message on Facebook from a woman who says, I'll leave the details out of it. Maybe that'll help. I bought this book. I bought your book as a Christmas present that I'm going to give to someone. Is it possible to meet somewhere to sign it? And I was like, sure. Yeah, let's do that. Let's meet at a Starbucks or something. So I meet this woman at a Starbucks, and I'm not even thinking that like that first run of the first run was 1,000 books. So whatever's out there in the world has already been in my possession because when I worked for Sully's, I signed them, and then I'm the one that put them in the fucking envelopes and shipped them out because like he was the distributor. So every book that ended up in someone's hands was signed by me and handed out, shipped to your home by me. So I'm not even thinking about that. So I show up and she slides the book across the table and it looks worn. And I'm like, oh, I was like, where'd you buy this? And she's like, Amazon. And I was like, oh, I was like, please tell me you didn't spend a lot on it. I was like, more than 50? She was like, more than 50. And I was like, really? I was like, she's like, I'd rather not say, but more than 50. And I was like, Jesus, okay. So then I open up the book to the part on the first page where I normally would sign the book. And I just gasped because I was like, wait a minute. This book is used, which means I definitely signed it to someone else before. And I immediately see that I signed it to a girl that is in the book. She's in the book. So, to Name Redacted, the love of my life. Love, Jared.
Sweetheart.
And this girl sold that fucking book. That is crazy. So when I first made it, I mean, so this was from 2009. Yeah, so I must have inscribed this in 2009. So every other book, like if you bought it online, I would write like to Tyler from one fan to another. Like that's like I inscribed it to one fan from another, and then I would put my name on it, whatever. Like that, the second I saw it, I was like, it is unmistakably, unequivocally this person's copy. Like she is in this book. Full first and last name is in this book. This was the personal copy that I signed and gave to her, and she fucking sold it.
All right, I'm not trying to hate on anyone's game, but for you to sell that book, first off, that you were mentioned in, you got to be pretty desperate for cash. And secondly, when was the last time this person and you had interacted in any capacity?
So I asked if I could take a picture. So the funny story is, I wasn't like, oh, I need to like maybe like give this back to her and I'll give you a different copy.
Got stolen.
No. So at the bottom, I just put to the kid's name to whoever. You may not be the love of my life, but you seem like a pretty good kid from Jared. So like I let him keep this book that I know who it once belonged to.
It's kind of cool though that someone in the book that you did write it to, and then he's now getting one from you.
Yeah. So like that's even more of like a collector's item, I guess. So I took a picture of my note to her in this book, and I just texted it to her. I haven't talked to the last time I talked to her was the summer of 2022.
Oh, so we're not talking that far back.
Yeah, no, I mean, like we definitely like have grown apart. Like I can't remember the last time I saw her. Like I probably
You're 34. That's life.
Yeah, like it's probably been like 15 years since I've seen her. And I wouldn't exactly like describe her as like the one that got away or anything either. Like it's not like that. Like I feel like that was just more like a flirty thing than like I actually like we didn't date. Like it was not like we were like friends, whatever.
You were trying to spit a little game. You were trying to put your dick on the table a little bit. Trying to get a little wet.
Yeah, like we were friends. And so like I just texted it to her, and she like was like, "Oh, like how did you get my book?"
Oh, that's so embarrassing. Wait, she played it off?
Yeah.
She did. Dude, that is the most disrespect. At least own it. At least be like, yeah, listen, like, I'm not really into the Sox anymore. Like, I didn't need it.
It's not even like she never was. It was just the fact that like, and the craziest part is like we were close at the time that I wrote it. So this is like 07, 08. Like we were close around that time. Like her part wasn't crucial to the storyline. Like I put her in there because like I thought it would be like a cool thing. Like, oh, like your name is in here. Like it didn't need to be in there. Like it wasn't a crucial piece to the puzzle. So like I did that.
You put her in there.
She would think it was cool. Yeah.
You did it for the wrong reasons.
No.
Yes, you did it for the wrong. Jake, he did it for the wrong reasons.
Sounds like the right reasons to me.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah. But anyways, the moral of the story is show no love, T-Dog. Love will get you killed.
Yeah, fuck love. And
show
this
no love.
lady,
After
all this, so she just, did you like press her on it, or were you like,
no, I just, nope. I was just, she was like, how did you get the book? I was like, it was on Amazon, ma'am. So, yeah. But, such is life. It's, hurt my feelings. Makes you wonder, like, how many other people that I wrote, like, personal things to, like just like sold it because they were like, oh, these things are going for like $100 on Amazon because there's only 1,000. Like it's basically limited edition. It's not like we didn't do like a second print or anything. Like we made 1,000, sold 1,000. That was it.
Value should only go up as you get older.
I got a box. I have a secret box, like an untouched box. But yeah. I don't know. It's always weird. And like, I kind of figured like the book would follow me because like, I guess when people like, discover the podcast or me on Twitter and then they're like, wait, what? Like he wrote a book. It's like, yeah, I wrote it when I was 18. Like I started it when I was 18. I finished it when I was 19 and I published it when I was 20 and now I'm 34. So like, I'm always flattered when people want it. And like, it makes me feel good that it's still out there and people care about it. But I don't know. Like I've always just compared it to like, if you were in fucking high school, if you were like a sophomore and you got an A on your algebra test, like you don't want it to still be on your fridge, when you're graduated with your master's degree. It's like, why is
your
that
college
still
essay? It was your college essay.
Yeah, it's like I've done other stuff since then. Like I've moved on from the book. And I think the way that I wrote it, I definitely, I've said this for 5 years at this point, and I'm obviously haven't worked on it at all, but I would love to rewrite that book and continue past where it ended. Because
like to modern day. It's a lot of years, man.
I know, but I don't have to go like as in depth with the years that I did cover in the first one. Like there's just like a lot of stuff that like doesn't necessarily need to be in there. Like clearly, like if
I'm imagining this girl right now, and I'm trying to picture.
She definitely
her.
feels like an asshole.
She feels like a Margaret. Was her name Margaret?
No, she was not a Margaret.
Was she 6'1"?
She was not 6'1".
taller?
No, she's actually really short.
Okay, maybe I'm not seeing the vision, but
you're not seeing the vision. Yeah.
When you write the next book,
yeah,
just don't write her one.
Oh, no chance. No chance.
She doesn't deserve anything. But I think some part of you would hope she was maybe settled down with this nice guy and they had a nice family. But late at night when her husband went to bed and the kids were tucked in, she'd walk over to her little library and she'd grab Jared's book and she'd look in and she'd read.
That's,
to you.
You know what?
And you'd be like,
that's kind of that thought came to my mind. Like she got married and then the husband was like, love of my life, sell this on fucking eBay.
Or
like at least I could level with that. It's like this, you're holding on to like this love letter, basically. Like get rid of it. It's like, all right, I get it. But you should give me the difference. If the book is $15, you should give me whatever, $85.
Oh, so you want to be paid for it?
I want the profit. Yeah.
Hit her with the Cash App.
You're selling it because you had to. You're selling it for love. You got it for love and you sold it for love. That's the poetic justice.
You should send her a fresh copy, but just with nothing in it.
No.
Just a big fuck you on the first page.
Trust me, it hurt. It hurt anytime. And it wasn't the fact that it was her. It was the fact that it was someone that I knew. Like, I feel like, anyone, like if it was like a dude that I was friends with and then I knew like it was addressed to, like, if it was like to Tyler, then I'd be like, oh man, really? Like,
you didn't value our friendship.
Yeah, that's fucked up. It's fucked up.
Do you think if she had written a book and she had put your name in it, you would have kept it all these years?
Yeah, I would have been bragging about that shit. I've been like, yeah, like this girl wrote a book and guess who's in it? Me. Oh, you don't believe me? Like, let me fuck, it's on page 389. Look at, there's me. Like, I would have. Like, that's like a conversation piece.
Long story short, she didn't acknowledge you as her tribal chief.
This was before I was the tribal chief, though, which I get.
But in today's time, like, she got rid of it. She didn't give a fuck. That's who you matured into today. Or she doesn't acknowledge you.
What if she could have?
She's a Ben Verlander fan.
She could have sold it a long time ago. Like, I don't think, like, there's a chance that it's been, like, she sold it and it's been sold multiple times since she sold it. I don't know.
I wish there was a way. Yeah, no way she'd tell you either. Because, like, imagine if she just sold it like a week later. But, like, that probably couldn't have happened at that time, the demand for it, right?
Yeah.
So
like,
she had to sell it once you became Jared Carabas.
I guess, man. But, like, at the time, like, I mean, 2009, my MySpace was popping. Like, I did a book signing at Newbury Comics. It was raining out, and the line was out the door and around the corner in 2009. Like, I wasn't on Nesson and all, like, I wasn't at Barstool yet, but I wasn't like a schmuck that couldn't draw a crowd, I guess.
I don't know. Feels
what
like
were you doing in 2009?
I was in sixth grade.
Fucking diapers? Yeah.
No, I was cooking in sixth grade, bro. I was worried about running the mile in gym class.
Yeah.
Worried about pull-up day.
Yeah, I was getting the fire marshal called because I was putting Newbury Comics at capacity for my book signing.
Dog.
Actually, you know what? Another funny book story that ties into the winter meetings. I won't mention her name. So there was this cougar.
It's always a girl, too.
Yeah. So there was this cougar that followed me, like absolute MILF, that followed me on MySpace. And she showed up to that book signing at Newbury Comics. And I remember when I signed her book, like, keep in mind, like, this is like skinny Jared.
I was about to say, this is really like, you're in the trenches.
Yeah. This is skinny Jared days. So I'm not used to that kind of attention. So I'm signing it and she comes around the side of the table and she like kneels down. She puts her hand on my thigh while I'm like signing this thing. So I feel like I'm a fucking man. Mm-hmm. So I am at Winter Weekend last year filming an episode for Nesson. And I'm interviewing Kike. Finish the interview with Kike. I get a tap on my shoulder. I turn around. It's her.
Well, all right. So she's not a cougar anymore.
I mean, she still looks good for her age, for sure.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. So she taps me on the shoulder, and like she thought that I wouldn't recognize her, and I was like, "Oh my god, it's!" And I know her first name. So then she goes, "Look what I have," and she had the book with her, and I forgot what I wrote in it, but like I open it up, and it says like, "To my favorite cougar, love Jared." So like I'm just like spitting game in these fucking books to whoever is like I personally would like puts like a personal touch on them if I knew you, I guess.
She's the one still like to this day, like going back and be like, and her name's not in the book, and it just means something.
Yeah.
I like MILF Lady way better than Amazon Book Lady.
Yes. So then she gives me the book. She's like, "Can you sign it again? Like, can I have like an updated?" And I was like, "Absolutely." And I was like, "Still my favorite cougar of all time. Love
Still would
Jared," and sign it. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, there's been some interesting, I guess, like book stories, but oh man.
I don't know. I have a
to
I like
be
this
young
cougar
again,
lady.
Tyler. To be young again, you know?
No, you don't. You would not want to go back to that version of Jared. Skinny Jared. You want to be Skinny Jared again?
No.
Wait, what would you even have done with the cougar?
I wouldn't have known what to do.
Exactly. Now you have the skills.
Well, no, I'm retired now.
That is true.
Yeah,
you are
as I've now like publicly said. This is the first time I've ever kind of publicly said. I've never really acknowledged like relationships in the past. It's been like 10 years since I think I've like publicly acknowledged like a relationship. It's because there really hasn't been any. But yeah, no, Vic, I'm retired. Jersey to the rafters, first ballot Hall of Fame, no doubt.
Play the sound, the clap sound.
No.
Acknowledge me.
Family man, Jared Gravis.
That's me. To the rafters. One of the best to ever do it. But
I can't wait for your wedding.
Yeah, you want to make a speech?
I'll do a speech. I've been to a wedding now. I know some dances.
I don't want you to dance.
I'll dance. You've seen how I look in a suit now, well put together.
Yeah, I don't want you to dance at all.
I'd also like to DJ.
No.
What
would you play? What projects would you put on?
I don't know. That's a lot of pressure. I play some of the new Yachty. That would really get people moving.
Yeah, I love Yachty.
Oh my god. What would you want me to play? Like you listen to like what? Like metal? Aerosmith? I mean, like, I'm not hating. Aerosmith? It's just not my style of music.
You think I am?
I don't know. I don't even know when
Aerosmith.
I don't know when any of these bands came out.
I mean, Aerosmith goes back way before my time.
Metallica?
Yeah. I like Metallica, but they were also like 80s. I mean,
Pink Floyd?
Like, Pink Floyd is like 70s, but like, yeah, that's my favorite band. I don't think I would play Pink Floyd at my wedding.
If I play a little Kanye?
I feel like that's kind of frowned upon in this climate.
Pre-cancellation Kanye.
Yeah, I think I have like a playlist in my phone that was called like when Kanye was good.
And the podcast.
What? I mean,
still makes good music.
I guess, but I mean, you know, it's kind of tough to be a Kanye guy today.
Yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Yeah. So far, your application for a wedding DJ. I mean, for the record, I'm not engaged.
No.
I'm draw that conclusion.
I'm projecting forward.
Yeah. But,
I just believe, and you know, I'm not going to say your partner's name, but I just believe in the love you guys share, and I can tell it's special talking to you.
Right,
and I mean that honestly.
Yeah, it is very special. Yeah. You guys have to meet. Jake met her.
Jake, you introduced Jake, but you didn't introduce me.
Well, Jake comes to Fenway with me. You don't fucking show up, and when you do, you don't come hang out with me.
You watch.
I will
watch how much time you're going to be sick of me by the end of 2023 or 2024.
I mean, the 2023 was correct.
Watch. We're going to be bonding. Double date Martha. Oh, damn it. I'm sorry. Damn it. Bleep that out, Jake. Fuck. I'm sorry.
Jake on the podcast.
Fuck. I'm so sorry.
Buenas noches, amigos.